The league-leading Anchorage Bucs for the first of 3 straight games here in these friendly confines. And Dylan, the games just keep on getting more and more important.
Left field corner, Wilcox will score as well.
Miners lost a game. It was here at Mulcahy Stadium on July 11th. Blake Baltz tagging and scoring on what was essentially an infield pop-up. The first baseman, Jake Dodge, only had to leave his station a little bit, but just a little bit of relaxedness by the fielder for Anchorage was enough for Blake Baltz to take advantage. The speed showing itself again. Cochran with an RBI and doubling Miners' lead.
Miners now with 4 total hits in the game. This one goes right over the glove of Zalastowski, and Kerr is going to score. RBI single for Kyle McCausland, and the Miners are showing their stuff once again. A 2-out RBI single. Miners on top 3-0. Bisaccia. This is a ground ball to short. Picked up, thrown on to second for 1 out. Throw to first is going to be in time for a double play. A run does score with Dom Patrizzi. That's a tough double play for Nick Bisaccia, but the lead does increase to 4-0.
That grounder by Cochran, we could have been in triple play territory.
Here is a liner down towards center. This is going to get down in front of the center fielder. A run's going to score with Blake Baltz, and the Miners take a 5-0 lead. 2-out RBI single from Riker Scow, the Utah man, with another avalanche. Here's the 2-2 from Bernardina. This is a ground ball to short, picked up and thrown on to second for the easy out number 3. Good work by Ryan Cochran and Dom Patrizzi, and the Pilots leave 3 runners on base. The base is loaded and nobody scores, and the Miners keep the score overall at 5-2-0. Fastball right past him.
The righty fires, swing and a miss. That's exactly what he did, a high fastball. The Pilots make it a bit more scary than it needed to be, but they leave the bases loaded, and the Miners complete a dominant display on the road at Mulcahy Stadium. 6-0 in the first leg, now 5-0 here, and capped off by Eddie Mendoza leaving the bases loaded. It is delight as usual for the Mat-Su Miners. They've now won 5 straight games in Mulcahy Stadium, 10 straight overall. And they have narrowed their deficit at the hands of the Bucs to just a single game with a slate of home games on the horizon.
Well, Dylan, the Miners took care of business down there to extend their winning streak to double digits. And now, as the final 5 games of the season roll up, their place in the standings is clear.
Yes, their place in the standings is absolutely clear, and they've got a chance to clinch something today. Let's talk about that right now. The Miners need a win or an Oilers loss today to clinch at least the number 2 seed and a home playoff series. Now the Bucs, they lead the Miners by 2.5 games, so Mat-Su needs at least 2 head-to-head wins for a chance at that 1 seed. Mat-Su has not played a road playoff series since 2022, so obviously a lot at stake for Mat-Su in this home stretch. Can't wait to see how it all works out.
The Oilers, of course, down in Kenai, taking on the Glacier Pilots right now for their closing stretch. They took the first game of that series last night, so we're pulling for the Pilots there, or of course pulling for the Miners here at Hermon Brothers to make that series moot and make sure the Miners don't have to go back down to Kenai. Well, before the game, Dylan got a chance to talk with infielder Dom Patrizzi of the Miners. He's been playing very well during this winning streak, as has all the Miners bats. He's been great in the field as well, so you'll listen to that interview right now.
What's going on, Miners fans? Dylan Simmons here, and today I am joined by the one and the only Dom Patrizzi. Dom, great to have you for our pregame interview today, and you're coming off a pretty good couple of games against the Anchorage Glacier Pilots. What was going right for you?
Yeah, I was just finding some barrels, finding holes, and running a lot, so that was good.
I like it. Just finding some holes, finding some barrels, and I'll tell you what, you've been incredible when it comes to getting RBIs from Mat-Su. You're the ABL RBI leader. What's been going right for you in that department, and what allows you to drive in runs at the frequency at which you do?
Yeah, it's just credit to my teammates getting on ahead of me and just giving me the opportunity to score them all the time, so it's been great.
I love that. Now, you got a big game today against the Anchorage Bucs. You're talking potential top of the ABL standings implications. So, what in your mind is it going to take for Mat-Su to get a win against the Bucs today?
Just playing our brand of baseball, doing what we do best, playing clean, hitting the ball and scoring. That's all it is.
Ball and scoring. All right, I like it. And you know, we're coming off a bit of a break here at the in the Mat-Su Valley. What's been some fun things that you've done over the last few days?
We went golfing a ton. You know, going a bunch of different places, playing some golf, relaxing. We go to the lake, hang out, same stuff every day. So it's been great.
What's your favorite golf course that you've done?
Yeah, the one over here in Palmer is nice. We went to Moose Run. It's about 40 minutes away yesterday. That was great. Nice. Beautiful course. I would say that's my favorite one.
There we go. Dom Patrizzi, master golfer as well as a master baseball player. Guys, back to you. 2, 1.
Well, I was happy to hear from Dom, and I'll tell you, he's been on a bit of a hot streak as of late. The ABL's leader in RBIs, doing what he does best, and I'm sure he's going to have another huge impact on today's game as well.
Yeah, he always pulls through when it matters most, even if that's just drawing a walk with the bases loaded. He's done that twice during the streak. Getting the timely hit, getting the timely play in the field. He's been a huge cog in this unstoppable machine that the Miners have become. And speaking of the Miners and the visiting Anchorage Bucs, we're going to transition now into our lineups for today.
Yeah, we will start with the Anchorage Bucs. Leading off at third base will be Josh Hankins. In right field, Andrew Lamb, who leads the team in on-base percentage. Cole Carlone, who leads the ABL in batting average right now at DH, also working as the pitcher today. Ryan Callahan will be in left field. Tommy Eisenstadt at first base. Brody Briggs, the catcher. Peyton Knowles at second base, Will Burns at shortstop, and Riley Hunsaker at center field. And like I mentioned before, Cole Carlone will be a two-way threat for the Bucs today.
The two-way superstar. He was in that role the last time these two teams faced off as well. For your home Miners, Chase Wilcox, who's currently jockeying with Carlone for first in the batting average race in the ABL. He's leading off at first base. Drake Kerr, as always, in center field. Kyle McCausland to his right. Brandon Duran, the designated hitter. Don Patrizi, who you just heard from, at second base. Riker Scow completes the outfield trio with Ryan Cochran at short. Blake Baltz doing the catching. Nick Bisaccia at third. And Noah Kendrick out of Conference USA, Sam Houston State, on the bump for the Miners. The last time he started a game for Matsu, they won, as they have the last time every pitcher in their rotation has started a game. That is how long this winning streak has been. Well, we are absolutely thrilled to bring this home action, not quite playoff action, but this home action with a chance to clinch some home playoff action for the Matsu Miners. That would be later on this week if they win today, and we're sure hoping they will. We think they can. It'll be Miners versus Bucs in the chase for the 1 seed in the ABL right after this.
boys are back and they are looking for glory. We are live in the shadow of Pioneer Peak at beautiful Hermon Brothers Field as your Mat-Su Miners get ready for another Alaskan throwdown against the top team in the ABL, the Anchorage Bucs. What's going on, everyone? Dylan Simmons and Charlie Fellows with you this afternoon, and I know we say it a lot, but folks, this is certainly a big game and we cannot wait to bring all the action to you.
Absolutely. The Miners come in, of course, having won 10 in a row, and this game is absolutely crucial toward their quest to get the #1 seed in the ABL. They're 2.5 games back of the Bucs, have 3 games left to play against them, and also with a win today, they can clinch a home playoff series here at Hermon Brothers Field with the deficit they have currently above the Peninsula Oilers. So a lot riding on this game, and we hope you'll stay with us.
Yeah, they are 3.5 games ahead of the Oilers, and like you mentioned, if they win this game today, they clinch the 2 seed in the ABL playoffs. They still have a chance, of course, to move up into that 1 seed, but that would require basically winning out against the Anchorage Bucs throughout the remainder of this 2024 season. But with the Mat-Su Miners as of late, that is certainly possible. They're on a 10-game winning streak, which is historic here in the ABL. There has not been a Mat-Su Miners win streak of this magnitude since 2011, at least as far back as we can tell. It's been a long time since Mat-Su has played this good.
And quietly in the background, while the Miners have been absolutely dominating, the Anchorage Bucs have as well. They're currently riding a 6-game winning streak, and the last time they lost to a team other than the Mat-Su Miners was July 9th. So these two teams have been a cut above the rest in the ABL, and their collision course comes to a head here today.
This will be the first of 3 consecutive games between your Miners and the Bucs. It all starts today. They'll play again on Tuesday and once more on Thursday here in the regular season. Here we go, Miners Bucs once again here at Hermon Brothers. Fastball inside by Noah Kendrick, who's on the mound for Mat-Su today. Lets this one go for a ball. Count is 1-0.
Kendrick on the year, just another fixture of this rotation.
And this high fastball is just high once again. Count goes to 2-0 as it's above the zone.
1.73 ERA and 26 innings pitched. Has 1 complete game, which he did last time out in a doubleheader over the Chinooks.
And that one is put in perfectly. Count goes to 2-1. Noah Kendrick looking for an opening strikeout against Josh Hankins. Here's the 2-1. This is a chopped ball that is foul to the left of the third base bag, and that should bring the count to 2-2.
Hankins, meanwhile, the third baseman for the Bucs, has 84 at-bats on the year, a .214 average, 12 runs batted in, 13 walks.
Out of Boothwyn, Pennsylvania, plays for Gonzaga. Fastball is high and tight for ball 3, almost caught Hankins squarely in the jaw. The count goes to 3-2. So a payoff pitch on the way from Noah Kendrick, who last played against the Chugiak ER Chinooks back on the 19th and had a 7-inning performance, only gave up 1 earned run in the process. Not bad. The 3-2. This is a line ground ball right to Bisaccia, throws on to first, and that is a 5-3 putout to open things up here in the game.
Bisaccia in at third base. For any of you who did not catch the pregame show, we had some technical difficulties. We were able to get it back on in time to show the lineups, but for those of you who might not have noticed, the defensive orientation for the Miners around Kendrick will be Wilcox at first, Patrizzi at second, Cochran the shortstop, Bisaccia at third. The outfield from left to right, Riker Scoudrake, Kerr, Kyle McCausland, and Blake Baltz behind the dish. Brandon Duran will be the DH today, and we'll get that lineup to you in the bottom of the first.
Andrew Lamb makes his way to the plate for the Anchorage Bucs with 1 out, pitched by Kendrick. This time it's high off speed, and the count goes to 1-0.
Kendrick has been stellar this season, and somewhat quietly so. Of course, all the ace-level talent in this Miners rotation, Jack Hostetler, Tucker Timmerman, Ryan Peterson, but his ERA is second best of that bunch. And he had probably his magnum opus last time out, a complete game shutout, albeit a 7-inning complete game, but a complete game nonetheless, en route to giving his Miners the win. Not a shutout, I should say. He did allow an earned run against the Chinooks, but that was that 3-2 win.
2-0 fastball, swing and a miss by Lamb. Count goes to 2-1.
Which, of course, culminated in the Miners winning on a walk-off passed ball. One of many times this season where the win streak looked like it was in jeopardy, but they always seem to pull through.
They always have found a way in this win streak. Here's a curveball that is high and outside for ball 3. And we have a 3-1 count now for Lamb.
Andrew Lamb with Cole Carlone on deck, who you'll be seeing a lot of on both sides of the diamond today.
Kendrick looking for strikeout number 25. This is fouled by Lamb, left side, and the count goes to 3-2. So we will have another payoff pitch. We saw that Kendrick and the Miners defense were able to take care of Josh Hankins. Now we'll see what they can do with Andrew Lamb.
It's important to start this game off strong.
That it is, especially on the defensive side. 3-2, and that's high and outside for ball 4. So Lamb on to first base with a one-out walk, and the Bucs have a runner aboard here in the top of the first.
Kendrick, not the most walk-prone pitcher on the staff so far this season, has issued just 10 of them in his 26 innings pitched, which is right in the middle of his starter brethren. One shy of Rocco Bernardina. That's tied for third most on the team, but considering how many innings he's played, that is to be expected.
Here's the guy you got to watch out for, Cole Carlone, who has been a dynamic player on both sides of the baseball. We'll see him in the bottom half of the first as a pitcher as well. That's a nice breaking ball by Kendrick. The count goes to 0-1.
Now, Carlone has, at least for the moment, usurped Matsu's Chase Wilcox in the batting average crown in the Alaska Baseball League.
That he has, batting .337 on the season at the moment. Wilcox at .326. Here is a chopper foul to the right of the first base bag.
Lamb had a go at second base there, but decided against it. Blake Baltz, of course, known for his ability at throwing out runners, did so against the Pilots a couple days ago during that doubleheader.
That he is very well known for and very capable at doing. Now the 0-2 from Kendrick, looking for out number 2. Fastball is fouled by Carlone. Count stays at 0-2. The Bucs come into this game with the top offense in the Alaska Baseball League, 235. They have scored 167 runs on the year and have a .372 team on base percentage. They are a very tough team to limit offensively, but Matsu has done it before. The 0-2 fastball, and that is just low and inside for ball 1.
You talk about limiting them offensively. They definitely have done that. Over the last 3 games between these two teams, all of them Miners wins. The Bucs have a total of 3 runs, and all of those were in a single inning, the first inning of the third game, and the Miners would come back to win that game. Other than that, they have been all shutouts, and those were all at Mulcahy Stadium, so let's see what they can do here.
Both of those shutouts by scores of 1-0, and that will be an appeal down to third and a strikeout. So Noah Kendrick gets his first strikeout of the game on Cole Carlone. That's about as significant of a strikeout as you can get early on.
Carlone, known for his power, and of course, as baseball wisdom would suggest, that does come at the expense of striking out a lot.
That it does. Ryan Callahan now to the plate, the cleanup man for the Bucs with 2 outs. And right now, we'll see if Noah Kendrick can limit the Bucs to 1 runner on base, and Andrew Lamb, who thought about going to second earlier but decided to stay put. Now we'll see what Kendrick can do against Callahan. Baltz took a look at first but decided to keep the ball with him. That is a ball, and the count goes to 1-0.
Callahan at .305 on the season, second best on the team, though very far underneath the .337 mark that Cole Carlone had coming into today. 12 runs batted in, just 9 strikeouts.
Here's a throw over to first. Chase Wilcox over there on the bag, trying to keep an eye on Lamb, and Kendrick trying to keep him honest.
These Bucs do not strike out a lot. That is something where they are different from the Miners.
1-0 pitch, and that's outside, ball 2.
The least amount of strikeouts by any regular in the Matsu Miners order is 10, which Ryan Cochran boasts, and of course he joined the team a decent chunk of the way through the season. After him, Wrecker Scow has struck out 13 times. Logan Vaughn, who doesn't play quite as much, has 7. The Bucs definitely better from that respect.
That is ball 3 now for Noah Kendrick as he places this one high. Ryan Callahan's been a very significant batter for the Bucs this season. He has the second most hits on the team at 25, 12 RBIs, and a .402 on base percentage, one of 6 Bucs with an OBP over 400. 3-0, and Kendrick puts that one in perfectly. Count goes to 3-1. Gets a looking strike on Callahan, trying to come back from 3-0 down. Matsu is coming off of 3 consecutive shutout victories. First time they've done that all season long. This is going to be a bloop shot that gets into left field for a base hit. So a single for Ryan Callahan, hit number 26 on the season, and the Bucs now with 2 aboard.
First hit allowed by Noah Kendrick, and he'll have to deal with a couple base runners. The plus side, of course, is there are 2 outs. That strikeout of Cole Carlone, very important, because now Tommy Eisenstadt, so you can get past him, you can neutralize this threat early and give your offense a chance to jump out to an early lead.
Yeah, Tommy Eisenstadt usually serves as a first baseman, and today is no exception. Out of Menlo Park, California, another Gonzaga player. 2-out pitch, Kendrick with a curveball, and he put it in perfectly. Count goes to 0-1. Not much better placement than that for Kendrick.
I believe Menlo Park, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's a Menlo Park in New Jersey too, because isn't that where Thomas Edison
That does
is from?
sound familiar. A light bulb is going off on my head. This is popped up into shallow center field, and it's going to be the shortstop Cochran who camps under it and makes the catch. So the Miners strand 2 runners on base for the Bucs, a single from Ryan Callahan, but that's it. Noah Kendrick and the Miners defense have passed the test early on, but we'll see if that continues. We'll be right back for the bottom of the first, Miners bats, when we come back. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. Welcome back to beautiful Hermon Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska, in between the Talkeetna and Chugach Mountains. Dylan Simmons and Charlie Fellows on the call, and it is a 0-0 ball game between your Miners and the Anchorage Bucs, the top 2 teams in the Alaska Baseball League, as we approach the bottom half of the first inning. And Chase Wilcox, arguably the best batter in the ABL, is up against maybe the best two-way threat in the ABL, Cole Carlone. This is going to be an interesting matchup to start things off in this frame.
Yeah, I would say Chase Wilcox, the best batter in the ABL. Cole Carlone, the overall best player in the ABL, because he's an excellent batter. Of course, we've said he leads the ABL with a .337 batting average, but he's also an excellent pitcher. He's on the mound for the second time this season against the Miners, a 2.42 ERA in 26 innings pitched. That has been mostly against subpar competition. The only time he has faced the Miners, his team did lose, but still a very excellent two-way threat for the Bucs to have, and a big reason why they lead the ABL by 2.5 games.
Yeah, but 2.42 ERA and 30 strikeouts for Carlone this year, but Chase Wilcox has been electric as of late. He has the top on-base percentage in the ABL, .448. He's also got 11 stolen bases. That's 4th in the ABL, and the number 2 batting average at .326. And 18 RBIs. That is also tied for 2nd in the league, as that's going to be a ball underneath the catcher Briggs. Count goes to 1-0.
Now, the Miners had a couple days off before the doubleheader down in Anchorage against the Pilots, and we were afraid maybe they would have a little bit of rust in that. That was not the case. So, hoping that will continue to be the case here. They had 2 days off before this game, because yesterday's matchup against 2 days ago, the matchup against the Chinooks was rained out. No threat of rain here today, and we're hoping that'll be the case for the rest of the season.
2-0 count for Wilcox becomes a 3-0, so early on, Carlone struggling a little bit with his command, and Chase Wilcox, who has been known to draw the odd walk, has a chance to exploit that. He's drawn 17 on the season, maybe on the verge of number 18. And he will draw number 18. That is ball 4, so immediately a 4-pitch leadoff walk here in the bottom half of the first inning. And the always dangerous Chase Wilcox on to first.
I think the best way to start any given game is to hit a first pitch home run. But if you can't have that, that is probably the second best start. A 4-pitch leadoff walk immediately puts the pitcher on the back foot, forces him to throw out of the stretch. And Chase Wilcox, of course, a dangerous runner in his own right. Wonder what we might see from Drake Kerr in his attempt to move Wilcox up a base or two.
I think we may have an idea of what he could try to pull. Always a man to use that signature bunt. He shows it for a second, but that ball's over the head of Briggs, and Wilcox will just stroll his way over to second. on that wild pitch.
Yeah, Carlone really having trouble finding the strike zone here early on, which is uncharacteristic of him, but the Miners will take it. He has not thrown a strike yet, or really anything even close to a strike, and that latest pitch is the second one already that has gotten past Briggs, and that time it actually mattered.
That it did. Defensive alignment for the Bucs. Tommy Eisenstadt at first, Josh Hankins at third, Will Burns at short, Peyton Knowles at second, Andrew Lamb in right, Hunsaker in center, and Ryan Callahan is in left field, and of course Briggs, the catcher for Anchorage. Kershaw's bunt pulls back. That is going to be ball 2 as the pitch was too far inside.
Yeah, it's hard to lay down a bunt when you aren't even getting any strikes to hit.
Yeah, Drake can only do so much in this situation. He will try to lay down that bunt, but right now he hasn't really had a chance to do so. We'll see if that changes here in a second. 2-0 pitch, and that pitch is high for ball 3, so Kerr may just himself force a walk if things keep going the way they're going right now.
7 straight balls by Carlone here, and Brody Briggs looking at his dugout, and now he's going to go out and talk with Cole.
Yeah, he wants to have a conversation with his pitcher, try to get him in the right frame of mind. This is, like you mentioned, Charlie, a very uncharacteristic start for him. He's usually so good when it comes to his command. Makes life very hard on any opposing batters. Matsu has had some success against him before, but so far today he's struggling, and Matsu has always been great, especially in this winning streak, at capitalizing on opponents' mistakes, and they may be on the verge of doing that once again.
And that's something that was a change of pace from earlier in the season when they were leaving so many runners on base. They have definitely corrected that. There's just a lively organ rendition of Obladi Oblada by the Beatles that played during that break. Definitely one of the better organ covers we've heard so far.
Absolutely.
This season.
You can't go wrong with the Beatles. Absolutely legendary band, them and Queen, 2 of the best in my opinion.
Certainly on the short list of best bands ever.
Absolutely. 3-0 pitch on to Kerr, and that's low for ball 4. Boy, 2 straight 4-pitch walks by Cole Carlone. So now Kerr on to first, Wilcox is at second, and that'll send on Kyle McCausland.
Well, unlike that song we were just describing, it has not been an easy walk in the park so far for Carlone. Has yet to throw a strike, 4 straight balls, has runners on first and second with none out, and the most dangerous part of the order up, the Matsu Miners have a critical chance that they need to not squander here against one of the best pitchers in the ABL.
As McCausland showed bunt for a second, this time it does go in for a strike. So 9 pitches in, the first strike of the day for Cole Carlone is against Kyle McCausland, who is pretty aggressive at the plate more often than not. He'd love a signature shot here to send a couple of runs in. He's got Wilcox at second and Kerr at first. Shows bunt again, lays one down. It is going to be picked up and bobbled by Carlone, and everybody's safe. Another mistake by the Anchorage Bucs. Cole Carlone bobbling the baseball. That's going to be an E1, and on to first is McCausland.
Looks like they gave him a hit on the scoreboard, Dylan, but I agree with you. That would have been a fieldable play if Carlone had gotten his hand on that ball, so not a great start for him. He has loaded the bases with nobody out, a pair of walks and now an error. Brandon Durand, the generator, has had most of the generation done for him, but he has to be the one to drive a run in.
He's got the bases juice with no outs, about as good of a position as he could ask for. That is a fastball that finds the mark. Count goes to 0-1. Brandon Durand, the team leader in home runs at 3 on the season. And he would love to add another one to the collection here. That would tie the league lead with Colin Robson. 0-1 pitch, and that's high. Count goes to 1-1 on Durand. Brandon enters this game with a 182 batting average and a 226 on-base percentage. He has struck out more than any other minor, but that aggressive nature can definitely have some reward. And that's outside for ball 2.
Durand has 3 home runs this season, including 2 in a game down in Chugiak, and of course 1 in this park against the Peninsula Oilers, a game-tying home run in the bottom of the 9th.
It was a clutch home run. He'll swing and miss at this one. Count goes to 2-2. Just about got a handle on it, but couldn't make contact with the baseball. And we have a big 2-2 coming up.
Yeah, this is a critical at-bat here. Durand at least wants to put this in play.
Pitch by Carlone is high for ball 3, and another crucial payoff pitch, but this time for the Miners. We saw Noah Kendrick negotiate these situations a couple of times earlier, and now we'll see what Cole Carlone can do. Payoff pitch to Durand. And that's high for ball 4. A run's going to come in. Wilcox comes home, and RBI is given to Brandon Durand, and the Miners take a 1-0 lead. 4 straight walks to open things up by Cole Carlone, and the Miners taking advantage.
3 walks in this inning along with the error. Cole Carlone is not allowed a hit yet, but he is ailing here early, and it looks like the pitching coach is going to come out. There's already some activity in the bullpen for the Bucs. Whatever is going on, Cole Carlone clearly just does not have it. This is not the MVP caliber player that we have seen many times before this season, and he is in danger of letting the Miners blow this game wide open. Dom Patrizzi, who's had an excellent stretch of late, you heard from him in the pregame interview, if you were able to tune into that. He has a chance to get a couple runs on the board here with Kerr and McCausland. Speed in scoring position.
So now 4 walks in the first 5 batters here for Cole Carlone, or check it, 3 walks actually, because McCausland reached on an error. But either way, Matsu with a 1-0 advantage. Dom Patrizzi will make his way to the plate. You've got Kyle McCausland at second, Brandon Durand at first, and Drake Kerr at third. And just talked to Dom Patrizzi pregame. He had a pretty good couple of games against the Anchorage Glacier Pilots in that doubleheader on Thursday. Asked him what was going right. He said he just was able to find a way and find the holes in the defense and get himself on base and drive in a few runs. That's about as simple as it gets, but Dom Patrizzi very good at it as the count goes to 1-0.
That was a close pitch, but Carlone has not earned those calls so far.
That he has not. He's still trying to really find the strike zone early on. This is a ball popped up into foul territory. Eisenstadt is racing after it, but he will not have a play on it. It bounced off the bleachers, it looked like, and the count goes to 1-1.
Yeah, somebody jumped the gun with that glass shattering sound effect. That ball was definitely still in the air. But here we are. We were talking about it before the game. The bases are loaded, nobody out, and it's Dom Patrizzi up at bat. He just seems to always be in the right place at the right time to continue his RBI rampage that he has been on in the ABL. Has yet to surrender that lead ever since taking it on opening day.
20 on the season, the most in the league like you mentioned, and that's going to be called for a strike. That pitch looked a little low from our vantage point. Count's going to go to 1-2.
Yeah, it looked like he just held up, but the first base umpire said that he went around. That's a big change in the count here.
Yep, so it was on the swing. 1-2 pitch to Patrizzi. That fastball is going to find the mark for a strikeout. So Dom Patrizzi is retired. First strikeout of the day for Cole Carlone. We'll see what Riker Scow can do against him now.
That's an unfortunate plate appearance there by Patrizzi. Didn't even put the ball in play, so now the Bucs are a double play away from escaping this bases-loaded, nobody-out jam with only 1 run of damage. Riker Scow, though, has been on a tear of late. He, of course, hit that mammoth home run down in Chugiak a few games ago.
Here's the first pitch, and this one is going to be inside for ball 1, just barely.
I think push comes to shove, that might be one of the furthest balls we've seen hit all season long into the trees down there at Lee Jordan Field. Which, if you know about that field, those outfield fences are very deep already, and that went well over.
It was way out of there. And like you mentioned, probably the longest home run, at least that we've seen this season, maybe the longest in the ABL in 2024. It was a monster shot. He'd love another one here at home. 2-0 pitch by Carlone is in the zone just barely. Count goes to 2-1.
That was another borderline call, and that time Carlone gets it. He's finding the strike zone a bit more regularly, but he's still routinely falling behind in these counts. The Miners need to take advantage.
That they do. Riker Scow maybe just the man for the job. He's going to swing and miss at this one, though. Count goes to 2-2. So he missed on the fastball, and now we've got another massive 2-2 coming up. The Miners are trying to cash in on this bases-loaded situation. Kerr at third, McCausland at second, and Durand at first. The 2-2 for Scow. That is well low, and the count goes to 3-2.
A pass ball would score a run. Of course, a walk would score a run. Another tightrope act here between batter and pitcher.
Scow looking for hit number 10 on the season. We'll see what the BYU Cougar has in store. Payoff pitch, and that's high for ball 4. Scow on to first, and another run is going to score. Drake Kerr comes home, and Matsu takes a 2-0 lead. Riker Scow with the RBI, and the Bucs are just giving the Miners runs early on.
Yeah, Matsu still does not have a hit in this inning. It's 4 walks and an error along with the Patrizi strikeout. And Wilcox and Kerr, who drew those back-to-back 4-pitch walks to open the inning, have now both come in to score on walks. So just tough sledding here for Cole Carlone, but he's got the bottom of the order now up with a chance for the Miners to continue this inning.
And Ryan Cochran comes to the plate, and another high pitch. Count goes to 1-0. This is just a very odd situation for the Bucs, and Matsu is saying, thank you very much, we'll take that every day. On Sunday, historically, Matsu has been very good this year. They're 4-0 in Sunday games. As the count goes to 2-0.
Carlone came into this game with a 0.92 walks and hits per innings pitched. That is going to spike after this inning alone, especially if he doesn't go super deep into this game.
That is high and tight for ball 3 now on Ryan Cochran. And again, Carlone just can't find the zone. Matsu, though, showing great discipline at the plate, not over pursuing the baseball, and just letting the runs come in. We may be on the verge of seeing that once more. And that is ball 4. Cochran on to first. Yet another run comes in for the Miners. All 3 of them so far in the bottom of the first are by virtue of a walk. McCausland comes home. Miners take a 3-0 lead.
That is now 5 walks for Cole Carlone before he's even recorded his second out. Something is definitely wrong with what had been one of the best pitchers in the ABL, especially on the Anchorage Bucs. The Bucs do have activity in their bullpen, and they're definitely hoping they can get through this inning, but if just one big knock for the Miners could be the difference, and now we're seeing the coach of the Bucs heading out to the mound, and this could be it for Cole Carlone.
Yeah, Bill Springman is making his way to the bump, and you wonder if this is going to be the end of Cole Carlone's afternoon, and it will be. Cole Carlone only goes a third of an inning and gives up 3 runs by virtue of walks each and every time. So we'll see a new pitcher coming out for the Bucs, probably the worst start that Carlone has had this year, and now we'll see if the new Bucs pitcher can tighten things up just a little bit. Matsu certainly hoping that they can take advantage. Blake Baltz will be at the plate when play resumes. The Bucs came into this game having a very similar team ERA. In fact, they were at 2.50, Matsu at 2.49, so they're very, very close as far as innings pitched and their current team ERAs.
Yeah, that is definitely the biggest blow-up start we have seen really from any pitcher all season. That's number 27.
That's Chad Gurnea.
Chad Gurnea. So he has been effective against the Miners so far this season. And remember, he had a very long appearance in relief against the Miners during the early stages of this streak. I believe that was the 1-0 win that started the streak down in Mulcahy against the Bucs. But he has been very effective this season for the Anchorage Bucs, the best team in the Alaska Baseball League so far this year. A 2.60 ERA in 27 2/3 innings pitched. He's made 3 starts and a 4-1 record, so he's definitely been a the high correlation between him being on the mound and the Bucs winning. He has allowed just 14 hits, 8 earned runs, and this is going to be his 9th appearance of the season.
Freshman out of Garden Grove, California, goes to Cal State Fullerton. He had a season-high 5 2/3 innings pitched against Fresno State back on February 25th when he was still in the college baseball season. His favorite food is chicken strips, which I can appreciate. Favorite athlete is Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Suppose I can't argue with that one.
It's a very, very solid food option.
Last time Chad Gurnea appeared was against the Glacier Pilots, who went 3 1/3 innings without allowing a run. The last time he allowed a run was against the Miners in that 4-3 loss back on July 21st. He did not allow an earned run in that game, though. There was an unearned run that he allowed. Did not allow any hits in that game. If you want to find the last time he allowed an earned run, you have to go all the way back to June 29th. The last game the Bucs played down in Kenai, a 9-8 loss against the Oilers. He went 3 innings, allowed 2 earned runs. He allowed a lot of earned runs early on in the season against the Miners, actually. In that 10-9 loss on June 8th, he allowed 4 earned runs. But since June, since the calendar flipped to July, he has been perfect. So this will be a very daunting test for the Miners' bats.
We'll see if Blake Baltz is the man to energize this Matsu offense, as he usually does. He has been especially good at that as of late, really kickstarting offensive streaks for Matsu, working as the starting catcher today, the freshman out of Rancho Santa Margarita, California. And we'll watch a pitch come in from Gurnea. This is a ground ball to short, thrown on to second for 1 out. Throw to first will be in time, so Baltz grounds out into a double play. But Matsu does put 3 runs on the scoreboard, all of them from walks off the glove, or rather the arm, of Cole Carlone. Matsu on top 3-0. We'll be right back for the top half of the second inning. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. Welcome back to Palmer, Alaska. Dylan Simmons, Charlie Fellows on the call. It is the top half of the second inning in game number 36 of the regular season for your Matsu Miners. They're on top 3-0 after forcing a number of walks against the starting pitcher Cole Carlone, driving in 3 runs in the process. They have the 3-0 advantage. Now Brody Briggs coming to the plate. Matsu trying to protect their lead. 6-7-8 due up for Anchorage against Noah Kendrick.
Kendrick now with the luxury of pitching with an advantage.
Showing a breaking ball here, and it finds the zone perfectly. Looking strike on Briggs. Count goes to 0-1.
In case there was any confusion for anybody following along on the live scoring, 2 of those runs were earned, even despite the error allowed by Cole Carlone.
Here's a ground ball to the right of the first base bag. Count goes to 0-2.
Because those 2 runners would have advanced to second and third, regardless of whether the out at first had been recorded. The third run, of course, was unearned because he was only on in the first place because of the error. But just to get that cleared up.
0-2 pitch. Count is going to be 1-2 as the ball was a little bit low. One of these 2 teams will have their winning streak come to a close after today's game. Matsu with a 10-game win streak, the Bucs with 6. 1-2 pitch from Kendrick in the dirt and low for ball 2. They have really set themselves apart as the class of the Alaska Baseball League, but I think Matsu fans would argue that in terms of quality, there has been nobody better than Matsu as of late.
Especially since they have had the Bucs' number.
That is low for ball 3, just barely by Kendrick, and he's going to face another full count. A lot of these early on against the Bucs. He's done a good job of limiting any potential damage. And now a payoff pitch to Briggs. 3-2 by Kendrick, and that's going to be ball 4. So another walk this time, though, by Kendrick, and a leadoff one for Brody Briggs here in the top of the second.
That was a 4-pitch walk after getting him down 0-2, so not ideal for Kendrick, but he's shown his ability to navigate through situations like that before. Just an update from elsewhere in the ABL, the Oilers and Pilots are underway down in Kenai. That is scoreless in the top of the third. That game with massive ramifications for the Miners, and in case you missed it in the pregame show, we'll talk about that in a couple innings.
This is fouled off by Peyton Knowles. Count goes to 0-1. Matsu entering the game with the best pitching staff in the ABL and the best overall pitching stats as well. 2.48 earned run average, 294 strikeouts, the most in the league. And now an 0-1 pitch on the way to Peyton Knowles. Fastball is low. Count goes to 1-1.
Knowles at second base for the Bucs today. Coming into this game, 233 with 6 runs batted in, has drawn 20 walks, which is best on the team, for a .420 on-base percentage, tied with Cole Carlone for the best on the Bucs.
This is a foul ball by Knowles. Count goes to 1-2. Fouled it towards the batting cage. So 1-2 pitch now on the way from Noah Kendrick, who does have 1 strikeout in this game. Struck out Cole Carlone in the top half of the first inning. Trying to get number 2 on Knowles and out number 1 in the top of the second. Pitch by Kendrick is high, off speed for ball 2.
Kendrick has allowed a hit, which Cole Carlone did not in that first inning, but nothing came of it.
Yeah, there was 1 hit allowed on a bloop single to left field, but that was it by Ryan Callahan. And that pitch is low once more, and the count is going to go to 3-2.
So second straight batter to start off this second has gone to a 2-strike count. This time it was 1-2, but again, Kendrick having trouble finishing the job.
Just trying to finish off Peyton Knowles in this situation. Runner goes. Here's a ground ball right side, picked up by Patrizzi, thrown on to first for a 4-3. So 1 away. Briggs advances on to second. And now we'll move on to Will Burns.
Yeah, that was heads-up base running by Brody Briggs to avoid the double play. He cost the Miners an out and advanced into scoring position, but still a very valuable first put-out with the bottom of the order for the Bucs coming up against Kendrick. He can try and reset the situation here. He also, of course, has 3 runs of pad to play with.
That he does. Runner at second now, Brody Briggs. In scoring position for Anchorage for the second straight inning. Trying to drive in a run. This is a ball popped up right side. Wilcox chasing after it into foul ground. Makes the catch for out 2. And Briggs will have to stay at second.
Wilcox lost that ball at the last second. Had to lunge out for it in foul territory. But he made that grab. He has been excellent defensively this season. And a quick 2 outs after that leadoff walk.
He certainly has. And he and a lot of other players on both of these teams will be up for ABL honors soon enough. There is some voting underway at the moment, and we'll find out soon enough who's going to be given the Alaska Baseball League honors for the years. A lot of awards to be divvied out among the players.
We've just submitted our ballot for that today.
That we have, so a lot of excitement around that. Riley Hunsaker to the plate, and he swings and misses. Count goes to 0-1.
Hunsaker, batter number 9, comes into the day at 182. Just 2 runs batted in 33 at-bats, so not an everyday player for the Bucs.
Yeah, doesn't play as often as some of the others on this Bucs roster. He's taken on a bigger impact as the season has progressed. Swing and a miss. Count goes to 0-2. A couple of really nice fastballs by Noah Kendrick.
With guys like Zane Kelly and Max Ross out of the lineup today, he is in the outfield.
And if Matsu can drive any baseballs into the outfield, his job becomes a lot more important. That pitch is outside for ball 1. We haven't really seen Matsu's hitting capability yet in this game because it's kind of come easy to them. All these walks have just let them get some free runs.
Just the 1 ball in play, and that, of course, was a double play. But they'll get more chances.
They certainly will. 1-2 pitch on the way from Kendrick, trying to end the top of the second against Hunsaker. And he will. Swing and a miss by Riley Hunsaker, and Noah Kendrick gets a big strikeout to end the top half of the second inning. Brody Briggs advances into scoring position, but the Bucs once again come up empty. Matsu still with a 3-0 lead. We'll be right back to Palmer after this. You're watching Miners Baseball on YouTube. Welcome back to Palmer, Alaska. Dylan Simmons and Charlie Fellows on the call. It is an overcast day, but a beautiful day here in the Valley, as it often is. Your Miners on top 3-0 over the Anchorage Bucs, trying to get win number 23 in the regular season and make their case to be top spot in the ABL and clinch the number 2 seed in the league in the process in a home playoff series. Nick Bisaccia coming to the plate, followed by Chase Wilcox and Drake Kerr here in the bottom half of the second inning.
Been a couple beautiful days in a row here after our rainy day on Friday. Yesterday, I personally took advantage of the weather and hiked to the top of Lazy Mountain. On my second try, I had to turn back a couple weeks ago because it was too much for me, but wanted a bit of an easier path, chose a less windy day, and the time I was able to make it.
And got some nice photos from the top that I took a look at, and it is a very cool mountain. Very, very, very cool mountain. I did it myself back in June. One of the first things that I did when I got here. I was eager to see a mountain here in Alaska, and that was a very cool experience. Definitely a hike that, if you're in the area, you should check out. 1-1 pitch. This is going to be fouled off by Bisaccia. Count goes to 1-2.
It's a cool mountain in more ways than one. It was about 70 degrees Fahrenheit at the base, and up at the top it could not have been warmer than 45. I could see my breath. I was shivering. It was awful, but very good views.
It is a heck of a shock to the system, and another foul ball, almost a carbon copy by Bisaccia against Chad Gurnea, keeping the count at 1-2 strikes.
Gurnea threw all of one pitch back in the first inning and coaxed a double play, getting the Bucs out of that jam, but has to pitch from behind.
And that pitch is low for ball number 2. So the count goes to 2-2 for number 20. Miners with a .215 team batting average entering this game, and that's a swing and a miss. Bisaccia can't get a hold of any of Gurnea's pitches, and he is retired to start things off in the bottom of the second. We go back to the top of the order with Chase Wilcox.
Second K for the Bucs between Carlone and Gurnea. The only out Carlone was able to get, a looking strikeout to Don Patrizzi back in that first. But now we're to the top of the order with Wilcox and Kerr, who were the recipients of those back-to-back 4-pitch walks, and both came in to score.
Yeah, this is where the walk bonanza started. That's a fastball that's in. Count goes to 0-1 on the Central Missouri man. So a looking strike on Wilcox. Breaking ball, and that one was a beauty. Wilcox could really do nothing about it as it broke just at the last second. Now an 0-2 quickly on Chase. And that pitch is low and outside for ball 1.
He'd like to get his batting average up above Cole Carlone's, who has had an absolutely torrid stretch during the time the Miners have not been playing.
Here is a line shot into center for a base hit, right over the glove of Chad Gurnea, and Wilcox with a 1-out single in the top half of the second inning, or rather bottom half of the second, keeping his hot streak going.
And that's exactly what he'll do. The first hit for the Miners so far today in the second inning. Wilcox on for the second time.
As Drake Kerr will make his way to the plate. That was a beautiful single into shallow center, and now Kerr will try to add to it. Drake Kerr, another very solid option behind the plate. First player to 20 hits on the season for Matsu, leads the team in hits at 35, which is tied for the most in the ABL, or at least was at one point. That has since changed over the last couple of days. He's been overtaken by a batter, but is still tied for second.
Who's he tied with, out of curiosity?
I believe it's Colin Robson at the moment.
That makes sense.
So 1 out here, Wilcox at first. Gurnea the pitch, Wilcox is going, and that ball's going to get away from Briggs for just a moment. Wilcox, as he overran second base, and he's out. Oh my gracious. A mistake by Chase Wilcox. I think he thought for a second that maybe the baseball had went all the way to the backstop, but Briggs had kept it mostly in front of him, and that's going to be out too.
Unfortunate gaff there for Wilcox, erasing a base runner. I like what he was going for, trying to get that stolen base, but did not come out his way. Another update from down in Kenai, still 0-0, but the bottom of the third inning, the Oilers have the bases loaded and nobody out against Edison Polanco, who is making his pitching debut for the Anchorage Glacier Pilots.
Yeah, we saw Edison Polanco a couple days ago making his ABL debut for the season.
Had a single in his first at-bat, so far has held the Oilers scoreless.
Drake Kerr will send one up towards right. This ball is going to be fouled, and boy, an effort by Andrew Lamb over there near the Miners bullpen, but he couldn't come up with it. That will bring the count to 1-2.
Sliding effort by Lamb out in right field. Came up with nothing but grass. He's probably used to playing at Mulcahy Stadium, where the turf will be a little bit more forgiving when you try and lay out for a ball like that. This time he has to pay for it with his wardrobe a bit.
He'll have to get in some extra detergent to take care of those grass stains later on. 1-2 pitch by Granea to Kerr, and he just fouls this one. The count's going to stay at 1-2. Drake Kerr once again patiently waiting for his opportunity in this at-bat. Had a chance to drive in Wilcox if Chase would have stayed on the second base bag, but made a rare base running gaffe. Now no one on base. This ball is popped up into center, and Hunsaker back. This should be easy, and he makes the catch. Out number 3, Kerr retired, and Matsu will have to go back to the drawing board offensively, but they still hold a 3-0 lead. We'll be right back for the top of the third and more Noah Kendrick. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. Welcome back to Hermon Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska. Dylan Simmons, Charlie Fellows on the call. Your Miners up 3-0 on the Anchorage Bucs. Top 2 teams in the Alaska Baseball League. It is a featured showdown, and it has been good for Matsu so far. And Noah Kendrick has also been good. He's limited the Bucs offense, even though they've got a hit on the board. That's it. No runs scored and nobody beyond second base. And Kendrick already with a couple strikeouts.
He's been stellar, and the Oilers have broken through. 1-0 they lead down against the Anchorage Glacier Pilots. So the Miners would like to keep this margin or perhaps expand it and win this game, which they are in prime position to do at the top of the order, up for the second time against Kendrick.
A reminder that if Matsu were to win this baseball game, they would clinch a home playoff series for yet another season. They were top in the league last year. Taking on Josh Hankins is Kendrick, and this pitch is low for ball 1. You saw the dirt fly up right in front of Blake Baltz.
Yeah, first place in the ABL is still technically within reach, and if they can take 2 out of 3 against the Bucs, it will be right there for the taking. 3 out of 3 would just about, well, even then it wouldn't just about clinch it, but it would make it basically a dead heat.
Count goes to 2-0 here. This ball is popped up into space, and no one's going to have a play on it. Who knows where it's going to land, as the count will go to 2-1, and I think some people may have been fooled by the glass sound effect.
Yeah, that landed in a part of the stadium where that would have been believable, but that's good to hear because it means that we have a lot of new fans coming out to the stadium.
And a nice curveball by Kendrick. Count goes to 2-2. That's one of his better ones that he's brought in today. And yeah, always great to see that new fans are making their way to this beautiful ballpark. Here is a chopper through the middle, picked up by Cochran, thrown on to first, and just got it to Chase Wilcox. And nice work by number 27 to keep his foot on the bag and retire Josh Hankins.
He had to jump up for just a moment, but he was on his tiptoes when he did it and was able to get his foot down just in time. The throw from Cochran was high but on line, so Wilcox had a chance, and he was able to convert it. No matter where he is, corner, infield, third base, and first base, he has been a mainstay defensively at both.
He has been sensational both from first and third this year. One of the best defensive infielders that Matsu has at their disposal. This is going to be a bunt shown for a moment by Lamb. The pitch goes over his bat. Count goes to 1-0.
Lamb drew a walk from Kendrick back in the first, got to second on a single, but would not get any further than that.
One of 2 Bucs to get into scoring position in this game so far. Check swing here. And it's going to be called for a strike. Count goes to 1-1. So Noah Kendrick looking for another big strikeout. And Andrew Lamb trying to get back on base for the Bucs. Here's the 1-1. That is low and in the dirt once more for ball 2. Miners last played the Bucs at home in June in a 9-1 shellacking, for lack of a better term. But they are eager to finally get a home win against their rival. This is a chopper right side. Wilcox once again, and he'll just tag the bag for the out.
That one was a lot more textbook by Wilcox, but he makes it happen. Yeah, like you're saying, the Miners have won against every combination of opponent and venue so far this season, except for the Anchorage Bucs here at home. The Bucs are 2-0 against the Miners at Hermon Brothers Field, but they've got 3 games in a row coming up between these two teams at this venue. We're confident that the Miners can at least take one and hopefully take even more.
As that pitch will come in low for ball number 1. Like we've mentioned, Matsu trying to get their first win against the Bucs at home, and they'll have 3 chances to add to that, with a game today, a game on Tuesday, and a game on Thursday, all here, all against the Bucs, before finishing off the regular season with a doubleheader on Friday against the Chugiak ER Chinooks, as the count goes to 2-0.
Cole Carlone back on the diamond once again after being unceremoniously pulled after a disastrous start. He struck out back in the first as well, so it has not been his day.
That is called for ball 3. It was a check swing by Carlone. He was struck out by Kendrick in his first at-bat. And Noah trying to get yet another K and end the top half of the 3rd inning. The 3-0, and that fastball right above the plate. Count goes to 3-1.
On deck is Callahan, who has the only hit off of Kendrick thus far.
Now the 3-1 pitch. And that is going to be fouled back by Carlone. Count goes full. Great work by Noah Kendrick to come back from 3-0 down. And now maybe has an opportunity to strike out Carlone and do it for the second time. Payoff pitch. And that's inside for ball 4. No doubt about it. Carlone on to first, a full count walk. Kendrick kind of grimacing after the fact. He really wanted that K, and who could blame him? And Carlone on base for the first time today.
So Kendrick has walked a man in every inning so far. Lamb had a 1-out walk in the first, a leadoff walk for Briggs in the second, and now a 2-out walk for Carlone. So he's yet to have a clean 1-2-3 frame, but so far it hasn't mattered.
So now Ryan Callahan to the plate, the lone man with a hit in this game for the Bucs. And that pitch is low. Here's the throwback to first. And just safe is Carlone. Heck of an effort, though, by Blake Baltz. Counts 1-0.
Better throw from Baltz probably would have had him. That throw was off to the right side of the bag. If he had left it closer to the center or even to the left side, Carlone was way off that base and got caught in the middle of nowhere. But he was able to scamper back.
The opportunity was certainly there, as that pitch is low for ball 2. Inside as well by Kendrick. Struggling a bit more with his command in the 3rd. Trying to avoid getting down early on. And he was down 3-0 against Carlone, now 2-0 to Callahan. This is going to be a fly ball into right, racing after it. McCausland towards the wall it goes, and this ball is going to be out of here for a home run. Ryan Callahan with a game-changing 2-run homer, and the Bucs have made it a 1-run game.
That was about as short of a home run as you could possibly see here at this park. It just barely cleared. It actually went in the tiny little gap between the wall and the scoreboard out there. And now the walks have officially come back to bite Noah Kendrick. He's allowed the first home run off of one of his pitches so far this season, and an unfortunate change in this game with one swing of the bat. Ryan Callahan gets his second hit. He has both of Anchorage's hits so far today. One was a single in the first that didn't amount to anything, but this one, like you said, game-changing in its magnitude.
The junior from Wichita State shocks the Miners. And now a 1-run baseball game as Tommy Eisenstadt makes his way to the plate with 2 outs. Let's see how Kendrick responds. And he responds by immediately delivering a strike. Count goes to 0-1. The biggest thing if you're a pitcher is to not let the magnitude of the moment overtake you, and don't let one play define the rest of your game. 0-1 pitch, check swing, and called for a ball.
Eisenstadt hit a pop-up to short to end the first inning. Sorry to talk over you.
All good. 84 at-bats entering this game, 21 hits and a .250 batting average, 363 on-base percentage. This is going to be a liner fouled as it clangs off the chain link fence, and the count will be 1-2.
Just got to pick up the pieces after that, allowing a shot like the one that Callahan just hit. Just end the inning and move on.
That is outside for ball 2. Home runs are obviously a tough thing to deal with no matter who you are on defense and no matter what pitcher you are, but like you talked about, you just can't let that be what defines you the rest of the game, and that pitch comes in low for ball 3.
It's the second home run the Bucs have hit here at Hermon Brothers Field this season, and pretty similar to the one that we saw Zane Kelly hit way back in June.
Payoff pitch. This is going to be a liner that's going to get down in front of Drake Kerr for another base hit. Eisenstadt on to first with a 2-out single.
Kerr gave that everything he had. I thought that he was maybe going to try and dive for that, but he decided against it, let it drop down in front of him to limit it to a single. That's 2 straight hits allowed by Kendrick, 3 straight base runners, all of this with 2 outs. So once again, just got to shake it off. Brody Briggs drew a walk in the second inning, but Kendrick definitely capable of getting him out.
Bucs entering this game with a .235 batting average, best in the ABL. 242 hits. They have since made that .245. Brody Briggs to the plate, and that pitch inside by Kendrick. Count goes to 1-0.
The Oilers have opened up a 2-0 lead over the Pilots in the 4th inning. So only getting 2 runs out of that bases loaded, nobody out jam, but still have the advantage early on.
That's a game that both of these teams are watching. This ball is popped up right side. McCausland giving chase, and McCausland will make the catch near the right field line to end the top half of the 3rd. But a 2-run home run from Ryan Callahan has made this a 1-run game. Matsu looking to respond, but we're not going to go to break. We're going to check out the latest on the ABL standings in this final week of the regular season. Charlie, what is it looking like?
Well, first off, we've got a nice new graphics package here. I would say so myself. It's looking rather sleek, better than the free software we were using earlier this season. You can actually read what the teams say. As far as what it says, the Anchorage Bucs, of course, are still leading the pack at 24-10, 2.5 games clear of the Miners, who have been off for a lot of this last stretch when the Bucs have been winning 6 in a row. Of course, their last loss came against the Miners, 22-13, the Miners record right now. The Oilers at 19-17, they are 6 games back, and the reason that game is so important, we've alluded to it before, if either the Miners win or the Oilers lose today, the magic number for Matsu is 1 as far as clinching at least the 2 seed, which would mean they would host a playoff series in the first round of the playoffs and not have to risk going back down to Kenai to face off against the Oilers in Bizarro Land. The Anchorage Glacier Pilots in 4th at 13-23, 12 games back of their roommates at Mulcahy Stadium and 6 back of 3rd place. They're pretty much locked into that spot, although the Chugiak ER Chinooks at 10-25, just 2.5 back of the Pilots, so they are within striking distance, but they've lost 4 in a row of late, and they've got their final 2 games of the season against these Miners right here, so playoff hopes looking unlikely for the team a few miles down the Glen Highway.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out, and really playoff implications all over the board today, but none bigger than the result of this game. Both of these teams fighting for the 1 seed. Matsu fighting to clinch a home playoff series. The Bucs have already done so, as Kyle McCausland will make his way to the plate. Miners also looking to improve on their record from a year ago. They were 24-16 last year, and they will try to move that record a bit up.
That's actually very impressive that 24-16 was the #1 record in the ABL last year. Definitely a lot more parity than what we've seen so far here.
Yeah, it's been a bit more top-heavy in the ABL this year as McCausland lets a looking strike go by. Count goes to 0-1. And he will deliver a check swing, and that'll be an 0-2 count. So it's been a bit more about the dominance of the top teams rather than the parity across the board, like you were talking about, as that pitch comes in outside, and the count goes to 1-2.
McCausland reached on an error back in the first, came around to score as well. He was the unearned run allowed by Carlone.
He fouls this one back. That will keep the count at 1-2 for the moment.
It will mess up the camera a bit, though, so apologies for that. You're going to have to deal with that for the rest of the inning.
And we'll fix that as soon as we can. McCausland will clang one off the foot of Gurnea, and now on to first he goes. That's going to be a single. He's safe. It either went off of Gurnea's foot or went off the rubber on the mound. Either way, McCausland on to first base, and Matsu with a leadoff single.
That definitely went off his foot because now the umpire is on to check on him. That was an amazing play by the shortstop, Will Burns, to even make that close. Had to jump and throw as he was running in the other direction, but Kyle McCausland was able to lug it out. Umpire out there to check with Gurnea, but he is all right, and the inning will continue.
So an odd single to start things off here in the bottom half of the third, but a good one for Matsu. Brandon Duran knows a thing or two about home runs. He wants to deliver an earth-shattering one in the bottom half of the third to put the Miners in position to extend their one-run lead. Pitch from Gurnea, fastball, finds the zone. Count goes to 0-1. Brandon Duran, the most aggressive batter that the Matsu Miners have in their possession. The man out of Bryant University. He was once the #1 catcher in Massachusetts coming out of high school. The number 11 overall player. He's been a prodigy ever since his young days and has now brought that talent to Palmer, Alaska all throughout the 2024 season. Shows bunt here, lays one down along the third base line. Throw from the third baseman is not going to be in time to first base. Hankins tried, but he failed to do anything with Brandon Duran, and Matsu now with 2 aboard.
How about that from Brandon Duran, legging out that bunt? It was placed beautifully for the start. The third baseman, Hankins, had to make a really tough play on that, and the first baseman was off the bag, so that ball skipped in the dirt and did not go into his glove. But still, Duran would have been safe even if that ball had gone into the glove, I'm pretty sure, because he really turned on the jets there, not known for his speed on the base paths, but that is relative to his teammates on the Miners. This is the fastest team in the ABL as far as base stealing is concerned, and even Brandon Duran getting in on the fun.
Yeah, the strong man showing his cardio stuff. Don Patrizzi will watch this one go by. It's a foul ball. Just caught part of his bat.
So the camera angle has been fixed. I think my fingers might have briefly made a cameo on the broadcast, but that is now oriented correctly, and let's hoping nobody else fouls one straight back into the net.
0-1 pitch to Patrizzi. Great technical work by Charlie Fellows. This bunt is laid down and caught immediately by the first baseman Eisenstadt, and quickly getting back to second is Kyle McCausland. That was nearly a disaster and not at all what Patrizzi was looking for.
Yeah, the infield was already in to field that bunt, and Eisenstadt was just in the right place at the right time. The ball fell right into his glove. Heads up base running there by McCausland. He realized immediately what was going to happen and was able to get back there in time to avoid a crushing double play. As it stands, though, the first out of the inning, and the runners don't advance, so not great as far as the bunt is concerned.
Yeah, sometimes bunts are a situation where it comes back to bite you. It's all about the execution. Now it's Riker Scow to the plate. He lets a fastball come inside. Count goes to 1-0.
Scow, the first of 2 straight walk recipients in the first inning against Carlone. He and Cochran both drew RBI walks.
With a 1-0 pitch here, McCausland kind of dancing around near second, and Gurnea takes a look at it real quick, trying to make sure that McCausland doesn't try any funny business. But Matsu has been known for the double steal in the past. In this position, they may try it. Pitch by Gurnea. Scow will line one. That's going to get down into right field. Here comes McCausland. He's going to score. The ball rolls near the right field corner. McCausland home, and a 1-run double for Riker Scow, and the Miners extend their lead to 2 runs. Another avalanche from the BYU man.
There's the hit that they needed, the clutch extra base hit, especially after the game got close because of that home run. Opens up the deficit they had after the first inning. They really needed that, and Riker Scow continues his hot stretch. A home run earlier this week, and now a double. He has found his swing here at the best possible time for Matsu.
So Ryan Cochran makes his way to the plate, and that play exactly what Matsu is looking for. They take a bite out of that 2-run home run that brought the game to 1 run. And now Ryan Cochran looking to drive in a couple more. Durand at third, Riker Scow at second. Gurnea with the pitch. And that off-speed pitch finds the mark. Count goes to
The
0-1.
stadium scoreboard has the Miners with 6 hits right now. They actually only have 4. I'm not sure where they could have gotten that 6th hit from because they did score that error as a hit. But I'm not sure. They might have added a hit to the wrong column. But the Miners with 5 runs on 4 hits.
Here's a ground ball to third, and Boyd Duran trying to run home. Here's the throw, and he's out. That's going to be 2 outs for Matsu. Boyd Duran did everything he could to get to home plate, but he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Scow stays at second, and Cochran on to first on a fielder's choice.
Yeah, he slipped and fell right when the ball got hit. He was running on contact and fell on the grass. You can actually see, or at least we can see, a little patch of dirt there right after the third base bag where Duran fell, and if he hadn't fallen, he might have had a chance to score on that play, but unfortunately, he gave it everything he had, a head-first slide, but the throw just barely got him. Unfortunate for Matsu.
So bad luck for Brandon Duran. Now Blake Baltz to the plate. Riker Scow at second. Cochran at first. Still a chance to add on some runs, but it's going to be a bit tougher now. Now it's just a series of misfortunate events. First you had the ground ball to third, and then Duran kind of tripping a little bit like you talked about. Really nothing that could have been done in that spot. Baltz lets that go by. Here's the throw back to second, and Scout just got there in time.
Oh, that was really close. I thought he had him when that throw left his hand, but Riker Scow, very quick, able to just scamper back. I apologize, I had the score on the score bug wrong for a bit. It is 4-2, not 5-2. For some reason, I thought 2 runs scored on that double, but Durand held up at third, obviously, as we just saw.
Pitch to Baltz, lets that go by. It's a strike. Count goes to 2-1.
Baltz ended the first inning with the bases loaded by grounding into a double play. Does not want to end a fruitful inning for Matsu for the second straight time.
So the 2-1 pitch for the UCLA man, Blake Baltz, looking for another energizing play. And that will be a strike. Count goes to 2-2. Another looking strike on Baltz. Chad Granea trying to keep the lead at 2 runs for the Miners. Matsu, I think, feels a lot more comfortable if they can get this lead to 3, back to where it was. You negate that home run and maybe, at least in some sense, demoralize the Bucs by showing that, hey, we can score at will and we can answer what you deliver to us. We'll see if Baltz can do that. Granea taking his time, 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss by Baltz, and that will end the third inning. Matsu does put 1 run on the board. Riker Scow with an RBI double, and the Miners now with a 4-2 lead over the Anchorage Bucs. And Charlie will now take you through the middle 4 innings. We'll be right back to Palmer after this. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube.
Welcome inside Hermon Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska, the site of the final 5 games of the regular season for your Matsu Miners, the next 3 of which are all against the Anchorage Bucs in the Miners' quest to make it to the top spot in the ABL for the 2nd straight year in a row. Charlie Fellows, Dylan Simmons on the call, and it'll be Noah Kendrick on for his 4th inning of work. He's allowed 3 hits, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks, and no runs thus far. He'll get his second crack at the bottom third of the order for the Bucs. Knowles, Burns, and Hunsaker, who went 1-2-3 the last time they went up to bat.
Well, coming off a 7-inning performance in his last game, Noah Kendrick has really shown his stuff. Outside of a 2-run home run that he gave up to Ryan Callahan, he has held the Bucs at bay, and he's going to try to keep doing that here in the 4th inning with Peyton Knowles coming to the plate.
Knowles will ground first pitch to second base. Patrizzi fields it and throws for a 1-pitch out, exactly the start that Noah Kendrick wanted after the rocky third with the 2-run home run and the single. This is a change of pace for him, and he needed that.
Pretty routine ground ball to Dom Patrizzi, but we've talked about his development as an infield defender throughout this season. There's another great example of that. Just great execution on the ground ball. That's the second time he's done that today.
Will Burns takes a pitch right down the middle. He popped out to the first baseman in foul territory back in the 2nd inning. Kendrick working quickly, 1-1.
Sophomore out of Texas Tech. Came in a little bit later than a lot of his Bucs teammates, and he has been a very tough player for Matsu to deal with.
He'll ground that right over the mound and through the hole for a base hit. Will Burns on with a single. That was past the diving glove of Ryan Cochran, but it was hit at the perfect speed right up the center of the diamond where no one could make a play on it. A 1-out single will make it a base runner for the 4th straight inning for the Bucs.
Well, Will Burns entered this game with the most at-bats on the season for the Bucs, and he more often than not makes life very hard on opposing pitchers. That was, like you mentioned, a ground ball up the middle right over the mound, and really nothing that anyone could do about it. That's about as standard of a single as you're going to see. And now he's on first with Hunsaker at the plate.
Riley Hunsaker struck out swinging to end the 2nd inning. The center fielder now taking strike 1. Kendrick has not had a clean 1-2-3 frame yet, but he has been better than both of his counterparts on the Bucs side. Cole Carlone and Chad Gurnea now working out of the stretch. Dealing in 0-1, which is in the dirt. Chad Gurnea, just an inning ago, allowed his first earned run since June. It was June 29th, the last time he allowed a base runner to reach home plate without any help from errors or other things beyond his control. Now time will be called.
And Riker Scow with an RBI double that brought in a run, keeping his hot streak going, and most importantly, getting Matsu back to a 2-run advantage, which is a much easier cushion, I think, for the Miners to deal with. Just feels a lot better when you've got multiple runs on the board ahead of your opponent. Gives you a bit more leeway.
Throw came over to first, but nothing of that. The 1-1 from Kendrick. That is off the end of the bat, opposite way. This could be 2, fielded by Cochran for 1 on to first, not in time to turn 2, but the lead runner Burns is cut down on a 6-4 putout. Good play by Ryan Cochran to field that rocket right into his glove, and Riley Hunsaker aboard with a fielder's choice, but a critical second out for Noah Kendrick.
Yeah, we've seen Cochran do this a lot today, just over there at the shortstop position, being able to field the baseball really well. It's been a huge asset to the Miners in their hopes of winning this game. I think the defense has been a reason why the Bucs just haven't been able to get on the board as much as they would like. Been making great plays and not making any crucial mistakes so far.
Josh Hankins has grounded out twice, the 3rd time through the order beginning. So the Bucs have had base runners. They have had a lot of folks at the plate as pitch 1 is inside and high for a ball. They just, other than that 2-run blast an inning ago, have not been able to capitalize. But for whatever reason, they seem to play much better here at Hermon Brothers. The runner goes. That pitch is high and tight for ball 2. Throw comes in. It will not be in time. Baltz left it a bit high into the right of the second base bag. So Hunsaker with a stolen base. He's into scoring position with 2 away.
Yeah, when it comes to catching guys stealing, it's all about the throw back to the bag. And Blake Baltz has missed on a couple of those today. It's location, location, location. It was just too far to the outside. Patrizzi did what he could, but just didn't have a way to stop Hunsaker.
The 1-1, that last pitch was called a strike. This one is outside, 2-1. With Hunsaker in scoring position, that is now the 4th straight inning out of 4 that Kendrick has pitched where he has allowed a man to make it to second base. Is 2-1 inside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Kendrick with 3 walks already to go along with 4 hits in this game.
Yeah, it's been somewhat up and down. He hasn't struggled nearly as much with his command as Cole Carlone did, but he's had his moments where he just hasn't quite been on point as usual.
The 3-1, pop up into foul ground. Looks like it should be playable. Chase Wilcox onto the gravel and makes the catch right on the edge for out number 3. The Bucs do not score a run again in the 4th. They go without a threat. It'll be 4-2 as we head to the bottom of the 4th. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. Bottom 4 at Hermon Brothers Field in Palmer. 4-2 the score between your Matsu Miners and the visiting Anchorage Bucs. Charlie Fellows, Dylan Simmons as always on the call. It'll be the 9-1-2 order of Bisaccia, Wilcox, and Kerr due up against Chad Gurnea. Bisaccia struck out back in the 2nd against Gurnea, and he swings and misses at his first offering here. Now a quick 0-1, just got a piece of that. Back into the chain link fence it goes, and fellas, you know what that means.
The camera got messed up again.
That serves me right for trying to get away with only using 1 zip tie instead of 2.
Don't worry, tech support is on the way.
In the meantime, an 0-2 pitch, and that's a swing and a miss on a low breaking ball. Down on 3 pitches is Nick Bisaccia. He strikes out for the 2nd time to begin the 4th inning. That will bring up the top of the order, as I said, Chase Wilcox, who has walked, drew a 4-pitch leadoff walk in the 1st inning, came around to score in that blow-up frame by Cole Carlone, as the camera has been adjusted to its rightful orientation. Also singled in the 2nd did Wilcox, but was thrown out trying to steal 2nd after he overran the bag a bit. He takes another strike. Chad Gurnea having no trouble finding the zone here early. The 0-1 pitch, that's hit high but not deep into right field. Looks like no trouble for Andrew Lamb, and indeed it will not be. Quick 2 up, 2 down here in the 4th.
Yeah, Wilcox kind of flying that one out towards right. Easy for Lamb. Had a pretty good amount of distance underneath it, just couldn't get it far enough. But now we'll see if Drake Kerr can answer the call.
Kerr at bat with 2 away. Exciting news from Kenai. The Pilots have tied it up down there in the top of the 4th inning. It is 2-2. Anchorage trying to do the Miners a favor. And luckily, that angle is okay. That pitch did not dislodge the camera at all, but that is a foul ball into the chain link fence as soon as Dylan sits back down in his chair. 0-1 count on the center fielder from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and now he takes one low in the dirt for a 1-1 count.
These players are making it hard on me today.
Having to get your steps in.
I guess so.
Coming from the man who has hiked Pioneer Peak, I don't feel too bad for you. That's ripped down the 3rd baseline foul.
Yeah, I don't mind a little bit of adventure. That means...
For clarification, he is the one who has hiked Pioneer Peak, not me.
Although he absolutely could. If you put your mind to it, absolutely.
Well, unfortunately, hiking is not just a mental game. 1-2 off the end of the bat, hit into left field, but again not deep, into the glove of Callahan for a 1-2-3 frame, the first by either side today. Chad Gurnea gets the Miners in order. 4-2 the score will remain as we head to the 5th. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. fifth inning of play and a new man on the mound for Matsu. A wonderful start by Noah Kendrick. He goes 4 innings, allows really just one big mistake, the 2-run home run, but luckily the offense for the Miners has showed up to render that moot so far. On to replace him is the 6'8 Titan Hayden Hattenbach out of Cal Santa Barbara. Dylan, what should we know about him?
Yeah, he talked about it. 6'8", 240 pounds out of San Rafael, California, UC Santa Barbara. He's made 6 appearances on the year, 13 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 earned runs given up, a 4.15 earned run average, and 17 Ks for Mr. Hattenbach. This is going to be a big test, though, against this Anchorage Bucs offense, an offense that statistically has been the best in the ABL, but Hayden has been known to shut down offenses in the past. Maybe he can do that once again coming out of the bullpen.
He's got Andrew Lamb, Cole Carlone, and Ryan Callahan. 2, 3, 4 due up, so he'll have his work cut out for him, especially if he's not getting calls like that. That pitch just inside for ball 1.
Yeah, he's a big user of the curveball and also mixes in the fastball with that left-hand release, and that time was perfect.
Strike 1 delivered to Lamb, who has walked and grounded out to first base. As we are in the 5th inning, not the 4th. Swing and a miss there by Lamb.
It's this middle towards top part of the order that Hattenbach's really going to have to deal with, starting with Carlone and going down towards Eisenstadt and Briggs. The 3, 4, 5, 6 range, the heart of the order, is where the Bucs have been the strongest today.
That's a mile-high pop into foul ground. Bisaccia as well as Baltz giving chase, and neither of them will get it. Blake Baltz had it in his sights, but pulled back at the last moment. I think there may have been a miscommunication there, and it will fall down in foul ground. The at-bat will continue for Andrew Lamb, still 1-2.
That's a great example of why communication is so important. Baltz trying to chase down that baseball, Bisaccia coming over, and I think you're right, there may have been just a little bit of miscommunication. They were about to collide, and that's where you want, if you're one of the players, to say, I've got it, and then somebody backs off, and fortunately nobody did, but small mistake, and nothing that can't be overcome later on.
Pitch 1 is on the ground to second base off the bat of Carlone and will get past Dom Patrizzi. So Carlone is on with a single to start off the 5th inning. Or excuse me, that's Andrew Lamb. He was still at bat. I had it in my head that foul ball was caught, but Lamb has the leadoff single. 1 on in the 5th against Hattenbach.
That was a tough play for Dom Patrizzi. He did everything he could to chase down that baseball. Looked like for a second he may have almost gotten the glove on it, but he could not secure that baseball. It was going to be tough no matter what. That was just a really well-hit ball by Lamb. Tough break for the Miners and a leadoff single here.
He reaches base for the second time, and now it'll be Carlone, who takes a ball inside for a 1-0 count. Carlone, a strikeout and a walk so far. With the home run hitter Ryan Callahan on deck, Carlone was on base when that blast was hit back in the 3rd.
And you've got back-to-back guys in the order here.
1-0 is a fly out into center field. Drake Kerr has it, and out number 1 quickly.
Yeah, I was about to say you've got 2 back-to-back guys in the order here who have hit home runs this season, Carlone and Callahan. Carlone almost was able to get that thing over the center field wall, but just not deep enough. Dead center here at Hermon Brothers is about 390, so it's not the longest range in the ABL, but it certainly is one that still takes a lot of power.
Ryan Callahan, a single and a 2-run homer in this game. 2 of the 5 hits the Bucs have, 4 of them off of the starter Kendrick. Hattenbach starts him off with a ball.
And I'm sure Hattenbach, after watching that home run and also the other hit that Callahan was able to deliver against Kendrick, has been keeping an eye on that. How do I handle this situation?
Having trouble finding the zone, trying to dot around it and not getting Callahan to chase. 1 on, 1 out in the top of the 5th.
That's the tough thing as a pitcher, is trying to figure out, how do I avoid this guy?
Runner goes. That is a swing and a miss by Carlone, and it will be a strike, but the runner has to retreat.
No, it's a foul ball, I
I think
think.
he got a piece of it.
Yep.
So the runner is coming back. I was going to say that was either a catcher's interference or a foul ball, and it was the latter. Lamb will have to try again if he wants to get to second.
Yeah, just caught a little bit of it, did Callahan, but it was a microscopic amount. Enough that you probably wouldn't have noticed it the first time around.
That time he swings and misses, so it'll be 2-2.
Hattenbach fell down on that strike. He actually went to his tailbone that time trying to fire that one in there. That is showing he's putting everything he's got into this pitch.
Imagine it's hard to keep your balance as a 6'8" guy. That pitch is low to bring the count full.
All right, so we got a payoff pitch for Callahan. This is where he could really make his money against Hattenbach. He has succeeded in these positions before in this game. Let's see if Hayden's got something different for him.
Here's the pitch. Fly ball foul off to the left side. It is a sellout crowd, or at least appears that way here at Hermon Brothers Field. We don't have the attendance statistics, but looks as though most of the seats are filled. This 2 o'clock start at local time. On a Sunday, runner goes with a payoff pitch, and that is ball 4. Blake Balt's not a fan of that, but Callahan draws a walk. He is on base for the 3rd time. And Andrew Lamb advancing to second. 2 on, 1 out. Hayden Hattenbach continuing the trend of getting into trouble every inning.
Yeah, Hattenbach did everything he could to take care of Callahan in that at bat, but he just couldn't get him to swing and miss. And got it to full, but Callahan forcing the walk. Now he's got Eisenstadt coming up. This is where you've got to hope, if at all possible, that you can get some sort of ground out or maybe a line out that stays in the infield. And even a fly out in this situation wouldn't be the worst thing, because Lamb would probably not be able to go too far if it was hit into center or left. So I'm sure that's what Hattenbach and the defense are looking for in this spot.
The Oilers are back in front, 3-2 against the Pilots. That is in the bottom of the 5th, so they're just ahead of this game. We'll likely know the final of that before this game wraps up. Here in Palmer, pitch 1 is inside from Hattenbach to Tommy Eisenstadt. 1-0 count on the first baseman with a single and a pop-out so far this afternoon. And a big juncture here for Hattenbach. On in relief. Finds the zone with that pitch. Bottom corner. 1-1.
Nice breaking ball that time. A little bit towards the outside part of the plate. Painted the corner, and Eisenstadt really with no way to handle it. That's one of the toughest pitches to deal with.
Hayden's 1-1 is high, and Baltz had to jump up to catch it. Good job to get that in his glove. Keep the runners where they are, but another pitch outside the zone from Hattenbach.
Yeah, still trying to kind of find that command early on, find that consistency.
Eisenstadt just got a piece of that.
It's all about where you put it in the zone and the velocity of which you're sending the baseball. He's really using that curveball early on against the Bucs. He's got 1 out from it, but still trying to get that first strikeout.
2-2. High fly ball into right field. Going back on it are McCausland and Kerr. And Kerr will make the catch. Tagging and advancing from second to third without incident is Andrew Lamb. Callahan had a brief look at getting to second base, but decided against it. So it will be runners on the corners with 2 outs. A sacrifice fly for Eisenstadt gets Lamb 90 feet away.
Yeah, I said if it went into center, it was going to be hard for Lamb to advance unless it was probably the deepest part of the baseball field, and that's exactly what happened. It was way back towards the wall. Kerr able to make the catch. That was an impressive catch, to be honest, because he had to go quite a bit of distance to get to that thing. Able to get to it in time, but Lamb using his speed to get on to third. But the biggest thing right now is that's out number 2, and now Matsu doesn't have a force play or doesn't need a force play.
Back in the third, when Noah Kendrick allowed that 2-run home run, it was Brody Briggs who flied out to end the frame. Now Hattenbach wants to repeat that trend, of course, preferably without allowing a run, as Kendrick did. Briggs also drew a walk in the second, and he's up 1-0 in the count here after pitch 1 misses low. Hattenbach fouled opposite way. Very early on the shattered glass sound effect.
That was a quick one that time. Brody Briggs out of Arizona State, Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's teammates with Cole Carlone. A couple of Sun Devils in the order today for the Bucs.
The 1-1 is a weak grounder to second base. Patrizzi will scoop on and throw and retire the side. A 4-3 put out to retire Briggs and end the threat. The Miners get a runner on third, but nothing of it. We are halfway home in Palmer. 4-2 the score remains. Your Matsu Miners in front. You will be watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube right after this. Halfway home in Palmer, 4-2 the score remains in the bottom of the fifth, ready to get started. Chad Gurnea still on the bump for the Bucs after taking over in the first inning for the ailing Cole Carlone. He has thrown now 3 full innings, allowed 1 run, 4 hits, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. He's got Kyle McCausland, Brandon Durand, and Don Patrizzi due up, and McCausland will take a strike right down the middle. McCausland has scored 2 of the 4 runs for Matsu so far today, reaching on an error in the first and a single in the third. He was doubled home by Riker Scow in that third inning, cutting a miss on a breaking ball for a quick 0-2 count.
Yeah, McCausland and the Miners just trying to build on their current advantage.
That's a high take from Kyle. 1-2, trying to reach base after a 1-2-3 fourth. The Miners would love every insurance run that they can get. Was able to hold up on a ball in the dirt to even the count, 2-2. These Bucs bats can come to life at a moment's notice, and the Miners have been spoiled a bit by shutting them out over and over. That is a fly ball into right. Andrew Lamb under it, and he'll make the grab, 1 out.
Yeah, the biggest thing that the Miners are thankful for is that 3-run cushion they developed in the first inning. Since then, the Bucs have outscored them, but the one thing we've seen from the Miners, especially in these last 3 games against the Bucs, is their ability to answer. Whenever the Bucs put a run on the board, it seems like Matsu can come right back and do the same, and that ability is...
That's a rocket out to right field off the bat of Brandon Durand, going back on the right field wall, and that will land at the base of the wall. Durand is trying to stretch out a double, and he will do so standing up. A rocket off the wall in the right field corner. Brandon Durand's got a 1-out double.
Well, that is certainly a way to get the crowd fired up, and he kind of motions to the crowd after the fact. You talked about it, a rocket into right field all the way to the base of the wall. Andrew Lamb, nothing he could do in that situation. That is the power that Brandon Durand provides and the potential game-changing play that he also provides, a big 1-out double.
He has reached base all 3 times today, a single in the third, a walk in the first, has not scored a run yet, although he was thrown out trying in the third inning after slipping and falling on his way to home plate. Here's Don Patrizzi, who definitely needs to see a ball get down in fair territory, a strikeout and a pop-out so far for him, the latter of which a bunt gone wrong. He takes an inside strike, 1-0. 0-1.
Matsu with the most extra base hits in the ABL. They now have 52 total on the season. And after that double from Brandon Durand, they are just so good, especially lately, at getting deep shots into the outfield.
0-1, just made contact with it, fouled it into the Bucs dugout.
Which is interesting because they struggled with extra base hitting a lot, especially early on in the season. Seemed like they couldn't buy anything that got past first base, but all of a sudden they have really turned over into a new leaf when it comes to that extra base hitting, and it's become a huge point of their arsenal.
0-2 from Gurnea. Runner on second, 1 out in the bottom of the 5th. He deals, and that's a swing and a miss. Patrizzi is 0 for 3, 2 Ks for him. 2 out in the 5th.
That's got to be frustrating for Dom. He's been so good lately at reading pitches and identifying when he is able to get going in a situation, and he just hasn't had the handle today of Chad Granea or Cole Carlone for that matter. Still kind of trying to find himself in this game, but he'll have more chances before this thing's over.
Riker Scow with a walk in the 1st inning, and of course an RBI double of his own in the 3rd. That scored the Miners' 4th run. He has a chance for another RBI here. Fouls that one off to the right side. Brandon Durand at second, 2 away. Miners trying to make something of that double.
Yeah, you'd hate to leave Brandon at second base if you're Matsu. You feel like that could be a real momentum shifter and a chance to put your foot on the throttle in this game. So you want to try to capitalize on that if at all possible. In baseball, they've talked about how hitting, or the Miners have, how hitting is infectious. And if one guy hits, then everyone kind of starts hitting in their own right. Brandon Durand has talked about that to me specifically, and that's what Matsu's hoping to do here.
1-0 pitch was in the zone, so now it's 1-1. That is just outside. Layoff by Scow, one of the best in the ABL at drawing walks. Ahead in the count here, 2-1. Chad Granea looking for one final out. Keeping tabs on Durand at second base. Now he'll fire the 2-1, and having to jump out of the way of that time was Scow. He is 1 ball away from doing it again.
The thing about Riker is that he's never an easy out. He's always very good at reading where the pitches are going to be in the zone and drawing walks. He's drawn 11 of them this season, and he may be on the verge of getting a dozen.
Chad Granea, your shoe's untied. Had to address that.
Can't have the shoe untied, especially not at these speeds. You trip and fall, it's going to hurt.
Face plant into the pitcher's mound. I imagine that would not be pleasant. Here's the righties 3-1. Scow going for his second walk of the game. You'll have to wait a little bit longer. That pitch just finds the upper corner of the zone to bring the count full. 3-2 with 2 outs and runner on second. Miners a 4-2 lead. Looking for some insurance to procure. Just have to sign the dotted line. Payoff pitch. Swing and a miss in the dirt. Riker Scow goes down. His first strikeout of the day, and Chad Granea with 2 straight Ks after that double to neutralize the threat. Miners go their 3rd straight inning without a run. They still lead it, however, 4-2 here in Palmer. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. The 6th inning of play between the Anchorage Bucs and your Matsu Miners. Matsu with a 4-2 advantage, looking for their first home win against the Bucs this season and trying to once again narrow the gap between the 2 top teams in the ABL. Charlie Fellows, Dylan Simmons on the call, and Hayden Hattenbach starts off his opponent, Peyton Knowles, with a ball. Knowles with a pair of groundouts in this game so far. It'll be Knowles, Burns, Hunsaker, 7-8-9 for the Bucs. Now Hattenbach working quick, and that is a swing and a miss on a breaking ball. 1-1.
Yeah, it's been a pretty quiet game over these last 2 innings. Both teams held scoreless. A lot of that has come down to pitching and timely strikeouts, and Hayden Hattenbach looking to add to that collection right here.
Another wave and miss on a low pitch for Knowles. Hattenbach quickly Finds the zone. Strike 3. Hayden Hattenbach has his first K. Knowles is 0 for 3. And he starts off the inning much better than the leadoff single he allowed in the 5th.
Yeah, Peyton Knowles just hasn't been able to get a handle on these pitchers today. First it was Kendrick, and now Hattenbach. Very aggressive at the plate, and really nothing he could do with the curveball. Hattenbach able to deliver out number 1 here in the top of the 6th.
Will Burns with a pop out and a single today. Taking a pitch low for a ball. Hayden Hattenbach trying to go his second full inning in relief of Noah Kendrick. And that time he finds the zone inside, but found the corner. 1-1 on the shortstop Burns. Again, working very quickly. That's a pop-out foul off the bat of Burns. Not giving me a chance to catch my breath here is Hattenbach.
He's working fast today, and we've seen this with Miners pitchers in the past. They want to work fast, try to get strikeouts as quick as they can.
Here's the 1-2. Just high.
It's almost like when they find a spot, they go back to that spot over and over again to see if they can pick up the pace and get a few strikeouts, and Hattenbach trying to do that.
Swing and a miss, that time on a pitch in the dirt. Baltz is going to have to throw down to complete the K, but that is 2 up, 2 down via the strikeout for Hattenbach. He has definitely found his groove in the 6th.
Yes, he has, and we just talked about it. He's picking up the speed, and he delivers a great strikeout that time on Will Burns, a guy who's not easy to get a K on, and Hattenbach made it look easy.
Riley Huntsaker has reached on a fielder's choice and struck out. He will bat with the bases empty and 2 away against Hattenbach, who deals missing low.
You've got 3 Californians here on the field on both sides, maybe more, but I'm specifically looking at the mound, the batter, and the catcher.
Now the battery all from the Sunshine, or they're not the Sunshine State, the Golden State,
Golden
of course,
State, yes.
of NBA fame. 2-0.
And you've got a little crosstown rivalry between the catcher and the batter right now. One from USC, one from UCLA, and both of them, I can't believe I'm saying this, future Big Ten schools.
I think they actually saw them
Or current Big Ten schools, I should say.
talking to each other before the game, and I understand why now, as that is on the ground off the bat of Huntsaker, fielded by Patrizzi, throws on, and a 1-2-3 frame for Hattenbach, the first time any Miners pitcher has done that, and they do it in the 6th. Other than that 2-run home run, the Bucs have not found any footing on offense, and the Miners look ready to cruise to an 11th straight win. It is far from over, however, as we've got many more innings left to play here at Hermon Brothers Field, so stay with us. Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube will return. Six in Palmer. Chad Granea still on the bump for the Bucs, completing his long relief appearance. He'll face off against 7, 8, and 9. Ryan Cochran, Blake Baltz, Nick Bisaccia due up for Matsu. Charlie Fellows, Dylan Simmons on the call with you as always, and Matsu with a 4-2 lead, looking for a win in a row number 11, and more importantly looking to clinch a seed that would be no worse than 2. And with that, a first-round matchup here at Hermon Brothers Field. Granea starting Cochran off with a strike on the upper outside corner.
Yeah, that's the goal for Matsu right now, is to get a home playoff series here to Hermon Brothers Field. With how good of a home field advantage it's been this season, it's a place that they feel like they can get an opening round playoff win at and potentially keep moving forward to the top of the World Series.
1-1 the count. Granea working quickly. That's a foul ball off to the right side by Ryan Cochran, who has walked and reached on a fielder's choice so far today. Has not made it past first hoping to avoid being the third straight strikeout victim of Gurnea, has to duck underneath that pitch. 2-2.
Boy, that was very close to getting him in the helmet. It looked like, almost seemed like it went right over his head that time.
I believe it did. Here's the 2-2. Lays off it, and good on him that he did. The count brought to full, looking to coax a leadoff walk or a leadoff base runner, however he can get it. Here's the payoff from Gurnea. Fouled back.
Yeah, and Cochran extending this at-bat right now, just giving himself an opportunity against Gurnea, who's getting up there in the pitch count. He's been doing this since the first inning, and he is probably feeling it.
Payoff pitch, mile-high pop into foul ground. Giving chase briefly there was Briggs, but it bounces off the top of the press box and out of play. Cochran doing a great job fighting to stay alive in this plate appearance to lead off the bottom of the 6th.
He is, and he's kind of trying to goad Chad Gurnea into a mistake right now. That's what happens when you extend your at-bat. You potentially put more pressure on the pitcher.
Another payoff, another foul.
Masterful at-bat right now by Cochran, just trying to bait Gurnea, trying to stay alive, and putting more pressure on him to deliver.
Cochran has already drawn a walk today and swings and misses at another payoff pitch. That was the 4th one he'd seen in that at-bat, but that time Gurnea is the winner of that exchange. 3rd straight swinging strikeout for Chad dating back to the 5th inning. He has found his groove, but the 2-run deficit his team faces has not changed.
A heck of a chess match there between Cochran and Gurnea that time. Ryan doing everything he could. Just couldn't get the better of that curveball. Swung at it a little bit late. If he could have launched it, though, it probably would have went pretty far.
Blake Baltz off the end of the bat to the left side foul. That goes over the dugout of the Bucs. Baltz had a grounder, double play in the 1st, and a strikeout swinging in the 3rd. Been an uncharacteristically quiet day for the man that has been at the center of so many rallies lately for Matsu. Trying to get on the board, instead he'll ground it to the first baseman, who will toss on to Gurnea. No, he'll take it himself. They had a exchange of signs on the way, and Gurnea told the first baseman Eisenstadt to do the work himself, and that he did. An unassisted put out for out number 2.
Yeah, that ball took an odd bounce into the glove of Eisenstadt. It was rolling along the infield, and there was maybe a thought for a second from Baltz like, hey, maybe he'll drop this thing. But he was able to control it. Baltz got close, but just couldn't beat him out.
2 up, 2 down. Nick Bisaccia is 0 for 2 with a pair of Ks today. And he'll fly that one softly into right field, not deep. Lamb on, and he'll make the grab. Another 1-2-3 inning for the Matsu Miners. They continue to stay off the scoreboard, but the scoreboard itself continues to be unchanged. 4-2, the Miners in front of the Bucs, trying to narrow their deficit for number 1 in the league to just a game and a half. With a win today, that is where it would stand. We're on to the 7th inning here in Palmer. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. Strains of Sweet Caroline, we're back to the action as the 7th inning is about ready to get underway here at Hermon Brothers Field, home of the Matsu Miners. The home team with a 4-2 advantage currently. The top of the order due up for the Bucs. Hankins, Lamb, and Carlone will face off against Hayden Hattenbach as he tries to get his 2nd time through the order, his 3rd full inning of work in relief. Charlie Fellows, Dylan Simmons on the call as always, and Hattenbach starts off Hankins with a fly ball into left. This will stay fair. Calling for it is Cochran, and he makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out. Exactly what Hattenbach likes to see.
Yeah, this game so far has kind of been a tale of 2 separate games. It started off with a lot of scoring in the first 3 innings. Matsu with 3 runs in the bottom half of the first, and a series of walks from Cole Carlone, the original pitcher on the mound for the Bucs. and then a combined 3-run score between the two teams in the third. But ever since then, it's been scoreless going into the top half of the 7th inning, and Mat-Su has kind of stayed on that 4-2 lead. Feels like, though, that at some point here late, somebody's going to break through. Mat-Su hoping that it's going to be them.
Hankins is now 0 for 4. Andrew Lamb at the bat is 1 for 2, a single, a ground out, and a walk. He was stranded at third base by Hattenbach back in the 5th during that scoring threat the Bucs had. He takes a ball to start the plate appearance. 1-0 with Cole Carlone lurking on deck. Ducks out of the way of ball 2.
We've seen Hattenbach have a few of those curveballs go high above the zone. That's been the biggest difficulty that he's had from the bump today, is just trying to locate that top part of the zone with the curveball.
That pitch finds the zone by Hattenbach. 2-2 the count, or 2-1 I should say. The Oilers currently are up 4-2 now on the Pilots. Those two scores with identical, or games I should say, with identical scores. If those results hold, Mat-Su would clinch that appearance as the ball skips in the dirt. I saw the ball land about 3 feet shy of Blake Baltz, and it skipped right past him. Luckily, no base runners to punish Hattenbach for that miss. It'll be a 3-1 count for the 6'8 righty, who will deal and find the zone once more. 3-2.
Great strike that time. Put it in perfectly. That's the kind of arc that you want the curveball to take. And when it's at the outside part of the plate like that, it's really hard for anybody to do anything about it, Andrew Lamb included.
Payoff pitch, swing and a miss. Down he goes. Andrew Lamb strikes out. That is the 3rd K of Hayden Hattenbach's day. 5th overall for the Miners, and he's 1 out away from his 2nd straight 1-2-3 frame. Just Cole Carlone with a walk, a strikeout, and a flyout so far today, standing in his way for that goal.
Brilliant pitch by Hattenbach that time against Lamb. And again, this top part of the Bucs order just hasn't been as consistent as the middle part, the heart of the order for the Bucs has been today. It's been easier for Mat-Su to deal with them.
Pitch number 1 right down the middle from Hayden. Since walking Ryan Callahan in the 5th, he has not allowed a base runner. Now 7 straight putouts, looking for number 8 in the 7th inning. That pitch just misses away. 1-1. In the battle between Californian and Arizonian, at least in terms of their college affiliation. 1-1 right down the middle.
Both of those places a little too warm for yours truly.
I've been to Arizona in the summer. Can't say the same about California, but I can agree with you. Did he hold up? No, he did not, and not that it mattered anyway. Cole Carlone slams his bat into the dirt in frustration. He goes down on strikes for the 2nd time, and another 1-2-3 inning. Hayden Hattenbach turning in a brilliant performance out of the bullpen for Mat-Su to keep this deficit where it is. 4-2 the score, Miners over the Bucs. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball on YouTube. On the other side of the stretch, we're back to the action in Palmer. Bottom 7 with your Mat-Su Miners up 4-2. Charlie Fellows, Dylan Simmons, as always, bringing you the action. And it has been an action-packed game, at least in the early goings. A lot of excellent pitching on both sides of late. But the Miners, thanks to that blow-up first inning by Cole Carlone, who allowed 3 runs and walked 5 Mat-Su Miners batters, currently own the lead, 4-2. Chase Wilcox, the top of the order, will lead off, and he will lead off this inning with a single right up the middle. Chase Wilcox with his second hit today. He is on to start the 7th. The Miners definitely needed to see that.
Another single up the middle on a ground ball, perfectly placed by Chase Wilcox. The lefty continuing with his incredible stretch. That's now 2 hits in this game. Gets back on base, and he's really setting the tone for the Mat-Su offense in the bottom of the 7th. We'll see if the rest of the lineup responds.
That's the 6th hit allowed by Chad Gurnea, who is still on the bump after coming in the first inning to relieve Cole Carlone. He'll face off against Kerr, who has walked and flied out twice. The latter 2 of those were against Gurnea. He'll lay down a bunt. Gurnea fields it, throws on to first, and that is... They are not going to say that was in time. He didn't get his foot on the bag, and all the way down to third now is Chase Wilcox. He's actually safe. I think they said he missed the bag with his foot, did Tommy Eisenstadt, and was not able to tag out Drake Kerr. So Kerr legs out that bunt. Wilcox goes all the way down to third because Eisenstadt didn't quite know what was going on. I didn't know quite what was going on, so I can't say I blame him. But when the dust settles, it is runners on the corners and nobody out. The best chance since the 3rd for Mat-Su to add an insurance run.
Yeah, that was a bizarre play. I'm not sure if we're going to score that as an error or a hit or what exactly that was. It looked like the throw from the pitcher Gurnea kind of went underneath Eisenstadt, or at least he didn't handle it properly. Either way, Kerr on to first, and I think he would have probably beat it out regardless.
Yeah, I think he would have beaten it out regardless, but Wilcox getting to third, that might have been due to an error on Eisenstadt not paying attention. At any rate, though, Kyle McCausland has an 0-1 count after taking strike 1. He has singled, reached on an error, and flied out today. If he did any of those things, the Miners could get their 5th run here. Throw comes back to first from Gurnea. There is action in the Bucs bullpen, as we figured Gurnea would not go the distance in this game, and now he's in trouble, so his replacement may be coming earlier than the Bucs had hoped. Still, he's gone 5 strong innings, swing and a miss on a pitch in the dirt by Kyle McCausland. He's quickly down 0-2. Runners on the corners. They are Wilcox at third, Kerr at first. The 2 speediest men in most games they play in. Gurnea looking for out number 1, something he needs.
And McCausland a big extra base hit to go along with that.
Instead, he'll get plunked. That one got him right in the shoulder. A hit by pitch offered by Chad Gurnea, and that will load the bases with nobody out. A situation the Miners have not been in since that first inning, and that ended up scoring 3 runs.
Yes, it did. It seems like Gurnea is losing the handle just a little bit here. That's why mistakes are so important to avoid. Mat-Su capitalizing once more. They scored 3 runs in the bottom of the first in this same situation. Now we'll see if they can replicate that success against Gurnea here.
Brandon Durand is 2 for 2, a single, a double, and a walk. And now a pitching coach is strolling out onto the field. He picked an interesting time to do that, right when the plate appearance was about to start, but the infield, along with the skipper for the Bucs, will converge on Chad Gurnea, and I imagine this could be the end of his day.
Yeah, that's Bill Springman making his way back to the mound once again. We'll see what he has to say to his pitcher, but
looking down at the bullpen, it does not appear as though they are going to change pitchers. The call has not come in, so they're going to leave Gurnea on and let him deal with this. Brandon Durand has been the best hitter so far for the Miners. Don Patrizzi, who is on deck, is 0 for 3. But the Miners still with an excellent chance to add at least 1 more run, pad their lead against the most potent offense in the ABL. It will indeed be Gurnea to remain in the game. Wilcox at third, Kerr at second, McCausland at first. And Brandon Durand, who legged out a double in the 5th, his last time up, has a chance to drive in a run. In the bottom of the 7th inning, Mat-Su not content with their 4 runs. They want to make this a little bit more comfortable for whoever comes on in relief down the home stretch of this game. Gurnea is ready to deal. Bases loaded, nobody out. Pitch 1 swung and belted by Brandon Durand out to left field. It will stay in the yard. Ryan Callahan under it makes the grab, tagging and scoring with ease is Chase Wilcox. So an RBI sacrifice fly by Brandon Durand. It did not go quite as far as I thought it would, as you all can tell based on the tenor my voice took for a second, but definitely a productive out. Durand driving home Wilcox and giving the Miners their 3-run cushion that they originally had in this game right back.
Well, it wasn't just you, partner. It was everybody in this ballpark. I think everyone thought for a second that we were about to witness a Brandon Durand special with a grand slam, but just couldn't get it over that left field wall. Still productive out, though, able to drive in Wilcox, and Matsu back with that 5-2 lead, and now we'll see if Dom can get out of his slump.
Thought we were going to get a brand slam over the left
A brand slam.
field fence. I've
I
been
like that.
waiting for a chance to say that all season long, and I really thought I had my opportunity there. But alas, we press on. Dom Patrizzi 0 for 3 with a pair of Ks and a pop-out. He's looking to break out of a slump, and he'll take a low pitch that nevertheless finds the zone. Strike one on the second baseman out of Lehigh. Runners at first and second, 1 out. Still a prime position, especially with the speedy Drake Kerr in scoring position.
And you think that Drake, he may try to steal third base in this spot.
Lined into left field, not quite. And depth perception got me there, right into the glove of the shortstop. That was Will Burns making the grab, and about the worst thing the Miners could have possibly asked for aside from a double play, a line out right to an infielder. Resets the situation with 1 more out. It will be Riker Scow, who has an RBI double already in this game, as well as a walk and a strikeout, trying to make any more damage come from this inning that he can.
Oh, goodness, that was so close to being a potential base hit for Dom Patrizzi that time. Just sent it right to the shortstop. All about that location once again.
Granea steps off, wary of Drake Kerr. McCausland at first. The Bucs hoping that Granea can escape this inning unscathed, or at least further unscathed. He has already allowed 1 run. The second earned run he has let score. That first pitch is low, 1-0 to Scow.
Riker's already had a pretty productive day. He got an RBI double back in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. And he's trying to add to it once again. He's been one of the guys lately that Matsu has leaned on to deliver clutch hits. This would be the time for him to do it again.
1-0 from Granea. Scow again lays off.
Of course, Riker's not going to be too over-aggressive at the plate. If there's an opportunity to get a walk, he will take it. And he's not over-pursuing the baseball right now against Granea, just trying to wait to see where the baseball is going to end up.
He has walked in this game, also struck out on a full count in the 5th. The 2-0, another high take, high and tight to bring the count to 3 balls and no strikes. Scow trying to walk the bases loaded, would not give him an RBI, but it would bring Ryan Cochran to the plate. And up the stakes even more for Chad Granea. The 3-0, right down the middle.
Yeah, no doubt about that one. Riker usually likes to lay off of those pitches that are towards the inside part of the plate. We saw him do that earlier to great effect, but Granea able to fit it in that time.
The righty's 3-1. Popped him up on the infield. That was an inside pitch, but it instead will be a foul out. Tommy Eisenstadt makes the grab to strand 2, but the Miners do get 1 more. 5-2, the score now after 7 as they try to get their 11th straight win here in Palmer. It'll be Dylan the rest of the way. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube.
Welcome back to Hermon Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska. The top half of the 8th inning is on the way. Here, Matsu Miners up 5-2 on the Anchorage Bucs. here in regular season game number 36. The Miners looking for win number 23 on the year and to get their first win of the season against the Bucs here at their home venue. Here comes the home run man, Ryan Callahan, who delivered a 2-run shot in the top half of the third inning, but that was against Noah Kendrick. This time he's taking on Hayden Hattenbach.
And he did draw a walk from Hayden Hattenbach in the 5th, but that is the last base runner that Hayden has allowed.
Ever since then, it has been smooth sailing for Hayden Hattenbach, like he was kayaking in Resurrection Bay. 0-1 pitch, bunt shown. That's going to be low, and it's called for a ball. Count goes to 1-1.
Gonna have to call you out on that analogy right there, because the sailing down in Resurrection Bay
wasn't entirely smooth.
Not smooth when we were down there.
There were some smooth parts to it, though. Swing and a miss. Count goes to 1-2 on Callahan.
Still a beautiful trip, though. We got to kayak down there during the 2 days off the Miners had.
1-2 pitch. Hattenbach, curve. He got it. Struck out Ryan Callahan for the first time today. Callahan's not going to reach base. That is out number 1 in the top half of the 8th.
Hattenbach has 5 strikeouts in his last 7 batters that he's faced over the course of the 6th, 7th, and now 8th innings. He's got 5 in this game, 2 from Noah Kendrick. So the Miners making a late push for double digits in that category.
How about the UC Santa Barbara Gaucho? Showing his stuff as of late. This ball is flown out towards left, racing after it, and that ball is going to drop in for a base hit. It's a single for Eisenstadt. Scow gave chase, couldn't get to it in time, and that is a 1-out single for the Bucs.
Yeah, that was Scow, Kerr, and Cochran all converging on that, and none of them called for it, so it dropped between them. Hopefully it does not come back to bite the Miners in any way. That's the second hit, I should say, for Eisenstadt. Second also allowed by Hattenbach in his 3 1/3 innings.
Hit number 6 for the Bucs in the game. Now Brody Briggs to the plate. Hattenbach keeping an eye now at first. Bunt shown and pulled back by Brody Briggs. Count goes to 1-0.
Since the score in this game is 5-2, the Oilers felt as though they needed to respond in kind. They are up 5-2 on the Pilots down in Kenai, so it looks as though they are on the verge of getting that win. But if the Miners can hold on, it won't matter. They will clinch the 2 seed regardless.
1-0 pitch, and that's high by Hattenbach again on the fastball, bringing the count to 2-0.
So it will be these 2 teams that will host a playoff series in the first round if the Miners can hang on and win. We don't know what seeds they will be in, but that will establish the dividing line.
That is low once more in the dirt by Hattenbach. Of course, like you talked about, Matsu's got to finish the job against the Bucs in this game to clinch one of the top 2 seeds. And then you start looking at the rest of their games. They've got 2 more against the Bucs here at home. The chance to be the number 1 seed in the ABL is certainly there for the taking. And that's high for ball 4. Brody Briggs on to first base, a 4-pitch walk. And now runners on first and second for the Bucs.
Second walk he's drawn, second walk issued by Hattenbach. So after that dominant K to start the inning, he's allowed a couple of base runners.
And Steve Hecker is going to make his way out of the Miners' dugout. He wants to talk at least with Hayden Hattenbach.
There was activity in the bullpen for Matsu, but we don't think we'll see a pitching change here. That is the luxury of 3 runs of cushion. It's hard to overstate just how important that run in the bottom of the 7th was. A 2-run game and a 3-run game feel very differently, especially when you're dealing with an offense like this.
Yeah, it was a sacrifice fly by Brandon Duran that allowed Chase Wilcox to score in that inning, giving Matsu a 3-run advantage. Ryan Harrahill is currently getting loose in the bullpen for the Miners, warming up his arm. We'll see if and when he comes into the game, but he would be expected to be the next pitcher. But for right now, it's Hayden Hattenbach who is trying to take command and keep the score at 5-2, give his Miners an 11th consecutive victory on a truly historic run. And to put that in perspective, they have already gone a quarter of the season with wins in a row now. They've won 10 of the 40 games in the season in a row.
Well, if they were to win this game now, half of their total wins this season would have been part of this streak.
Which is incredible to think about. Peyton Knowles at the plate. Here's a curveball that finds the zone. Count goes to 0-1.
Knowles 0 for 3, 2 ground outs and a strikeout. The latter against Hattenbach.
Hattenbach keeping an eye on second. This is a chopper right side, and it gets past both Wilcox and Patrizzi. A run's going to score for the Bucs. The throw will not be in time, and the Bucs have made it a 5-3 baseball game as the ball got away from Baltz, and now the Bucs will have 2 runners in scoring position. What a chaotic free fall in that play for the Miners.
Yeah, that was a lot of unfortunate things happening at once. First off was Tommy Eisenstadt at first running right in the path of that ball that obscured the view of it a bit. Neither Patrizzi nor Cochran could make a play on that. And then the throw came into home. Blake Baltz was trying to make a tag, and he tagged the runner that was trying to score. That was Eisenstadt, and tripped him. Luckily, Eisenstadt was okay, but unfortunately for the Miners, it caused Baltz to lose that ball and let both of the base runners advance. So Briggs down to third and Burns to second, as looks like we're going to see a pitching change here.
Yeah, Ryan Harrahill's making his way to the mound, so Hayden Hattenbach's day comes to an end, and understandably so in this situation. Not the way that Hayden wanted to end it, but he will give the ball up to his teammate Ryan Harrahill, and we'll see the third pitcher of the day for the Miners as Hattenbach gets a nice ovation from the crowd as he makes his way back to the dugout.
Yep, he was stellar. He struck out 5, allowed 2 walks, 3 hits. The runners on base right now do belong to him, and he did, of course, allow an earned run just now to make this a 5-3 ball game, despite what the scoreboard might say. And he'll be replaced by one of the best relievers, not only on the Miners, but in the entire ABL. Up for a reliever all-star spot is Ryan Harrahill. A 3.86 ERA and 18 2/3 innings this season, has allowed 8 earned runs, 18 strikeouts, just 1 extra base hit this season, and he'll be making his 10th appearance of the year, all out of the bullpen.
Yep, Ryan Harrahill, the freshman out of Elkhorn, Nebraska, plays for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. 18 strikeouts on the season so far. Coming out of the bullpen for Matsu and trying to limit the damage for the Miners and keep them in the driver's seat in this game. But he's got 2 runners in scoring position. Knowles at second, Briggs at third, and Will Burns coming to home plate. So an obviously massive spot for Ryan Harrahill to come in, try to limit the damage and keep the score at 5-3. Going back to that last play, it was a lot closer than I thought it was initially going to be. Eisenstadt seemed to have a pretty clear path, but again, Kyle McCausland doing what he does in right field. Always underestimate that cannon arm of his, and he got it really close to the plate, but as I assumed, Eisenstadt was able to score. And that collision, like you talked about, Charlie, that's what allowed the 2 runners to get into scoring position for the Bucs, so that was just a really unfortunate turn of events for the Miners.
Yeah, it was potentially a dangerous play, too, on both sides, with Blake Baltz sticking his arm out right into the path of the runner who was trying to score. The runner, of course, could also have maneuvered around him or slid or done anything of that nature. You're supposed to slide when the fielder is waiting with the ball at the base you're trying to get to, but it unfortunately broke the Bucs' way with Knowles and Briggs getting to second and third respectively. It wasn't scored an error on the scoreboard. I'm not entirely sure what you'd call that, because Knowles definitely would not have made it to second if not for that play. But I guess it is an error, even though Baltz didn't really do anything wrong per se. He just had the ball knocked out of his hand.
Yeah, it's one of those technicalities of the rule that would come into play there. Of course, errors are basically always judgment calls, so sometimes it's in the eye of the beholder. Will Burns at the plate. Ryan Harrahill trying to step up and step in a big way. Fastball is fouled. Count goes to 0-1.
Burns struck out, singled, and popped out today. Batting 8th in the order for the Bucs. It's now the bottom of the 8th in Kenai. 5-2 is still the score, so once again it looks like the Oilers are going to close that one out. But if this margin holds, the Miners don't have to worry about it.
It's all about getting the victory for Matsu in this spot, and that means shutting down this vaunted Bucs offense. They've done that for most of the day. A 1 fastball is going to be called for a strike. Burns went around, and the count goes to 0-2.
Just as a reminder, after the final pitch is thrown, stay with us on the YouTube stream. We'll go to a break, but then come back with post-game interviews like we do every home game. You'll want to hear those.
Yes, you will. We'll have the latest from the players and coaches of the Matsu Miners. 0-2 pitch. Harrahill put that one in the dirt. It bounced away from Blake Baltz. Thankfully not too far, and the runners stay on base.
Yeah, Brody Briggs had a look at that, but decided not to go. Interestingly, thought that he was going to take off on that because Baltz and Harrahill both had a tough time tracking it down. The Miners catch a break there.
Yeah, it was one of those judgment calls, and Briggs decided he didn't want to risk it, especially while being this close to home plate. The tying run for the Bucs is currently at second base. All that I'm sure Anchorage is taking into consideration. This is a fly ball out to right. McCausland ranging back. He is going to be able to make the catch. A run will score for the Bucs as tagging is Brody Briggs. He comes home. It's now 5-4. On to third is Peyton Knowles, and it's a one-run baseball game.
That run will be charged to Hayden Hattenbach as well. He is now allowed 2 earned runs. And all of a sudden, that cushion, that one extra run in the 7th inning, continuing to pay dividends for the Miners. This would be a whole new game if not for that, but instead they cling on to a 1-run lead. Down to third goes Knowles, but Harrahill can escape this inning with one more out and keep his team in front.
Yep, Riley Hunsaker coming to the plate. And the Bucs are now 1 run away from tying this baseball game, and that run is currently in the hot corner. Harrahill with a fastball. That is going to be charged as a ball. Count goes to 1-0. Hunsaker almost went around that time.
The 9-man in the order, center fielder 0 for 3, a strikeout, ground out, and also reached on a fielder's choice.
Harrahill taking his time, trying not to overrush things. And he placed that one low and outside for ball 1. Or check it, ball 2. Riley Hunsaker, the freshman out of Highland, California, plays for the University of Southern California. Played against Washington State back on May 12th and got a hit against the Cougars. He'll soon face Big Ten competition, and he'll have to deal with UC Santa Barbara and the California scene as well. That ball gets past Blake Baltz, and the tying run is going to come in for the Bucs. Knowles comes home, and it's now 5-5.
A wild pitch by Harrahill at the worst possible time. The run was on there because of Hayden Hattenbach, but gets the rest of the way home because Harrahill misses his spot. And that, unfortunately, makes this a whole new ball game in the top of the 8th. We are going to see the scores reset, and Matsu is going to have to come back and win this late. Base path's now empty, but the damage has been done.
Fastball by Harrahill finds the mark. Count goes to 3-1. And the Bucs have staged a comeback here in the top of the 8th. 3 runs scored in this one frame. And now they're the ones putting Matsu on their heels. Here is a fly ball into right. This one is going to get down near the wall for a base hit. Hunsaker coming around to second, and he is going to have a double easily. A 2-out double for Riley Hunsaker, and all of a sudden, the Bucs are right in position to take the lead.
Well, that wild pitch does not end up mattering. That run now, of course, charged to Harrahill because he would have scored anyway. A 2-out double keeps this inning alive with the top of the order coming up. It will be Josh Hankins, the only man for the Bucs that has not reached in this game. 0 for 4, a prime opportunity for Harrahill to end this inning, but things have started to slip away for the home Miners. They really need to dig in and keep this score tied so they can mount a comeback in the innings to follow.
Blake Baltz talking to the home plate umpire, and you mentioned it, Matsu is just trying to cling to this game as it is right now, trying to keep it tied. They do not want this game to come down to the 9th if at all possible. They'd like to end this thing in the top half of that frame and not have to send the offense back out one more time. Harrahill keeping a close eye at Hunsaker. Fastball finds the mark. Count goes to 0-1.
Miners, of course, have walked off the Bucs this season. That was a road walk-off win in sudden death down in Mulcahy in the pouring rain, one of the games of the year.
Yep, that was a 0-0 game going into that sudden death inning as well. Chase Wilcox with a walk-off RBI double. Ended up scoring Nick Bisaccia. Harrahill places this one just a bit outside. Count goes to 1-1 as the sun really peeks out for the first time today.
Hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah, hopefully a good omen for Matsu. Josh Hankins hoping it's the opposite. That's high and tight for ball number 2.
Hankins, a ground out, a pair of pop outs, and another ground out.
While a win wouldn't clinch the first seed for the Bucs, it would put them in prime position to take it. They would have to lose out and Mat-Su win out to have anything else happen. So the Miners obviously understanding that. And Harehill finds the zone, 2-2.
Good spot there by Harehill. Big conversion. You do not want to get to a 3-1 count on anybody in this lineup, especially Josh Hankins, the leadoff man, even though he is 0 for 4. Any of these bats can make you pay.
They certainly can, and Hayden Hattenbach knows it. Or excuse me, Harehill knows it, just trying to keep that at bay. 2-2. Here's a chopper in fair territory. Patrizzi's got it. Throws to first. That's a 4-3 to end the top half of the 8th inning. But the Bucs put 3 runs on the scoreboard, and we are all tied up here in Palmer. The Miners' backs will look to respond in the bottom half of the 8th when we come back. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball right here on YouTube. Welcome back to Palmer, Alaska. Dylan Simmons, Charlie Fidlows in the bottom half of the 8th inning. We've got another good one between the Mat-Su Miners and the Anchorage Bucs. In the last 3 games between these two opponents, it has come down to 1 run, and all 3 times Mat-Su has come away with the victory. All knotted up at 5 runs apiece. This is the highest scoring game in some time between these two. As a new pitcher takes the mound for the Bucs, it's Adam Enyart in the bottom half of the 8th.
Enyart will probably be the closer for the Bucs. This is his 10th appearance of the season. He's a 1-0 record, 12 2/3 innings pitched, a 1.42 ERA, has allowed just 7 hits and 2 earned runs this season. One of the best members of one of the best bullpens in the Alaska Baseball League. So far this season, the Bucs have done closer by committee. Andrew Rudd, definitely their top closer. He has 4 saves, but 2 other players on the squad have 2, and Adam Enyart is one of those. So he will try and at least get the hold. The Miners, on the other hand, looking for some success against him as we head to the closing stages.
Ryan Cochran to the plate, 7-8-9 to lead off for Mat-Su in this bottom frame of the 8th inning. Fastball is high and outside for ball 1 from Enyart.
Cochran has reached twice on a fielder's choice and a walk, but he, along with Baltz and Bisaccia, have not recorded a hit. So that'll need to change here.
1-0 pitch. This is just fouled off the end of the bat of number 19. Count goes to 1-1. And your Miners, of course, with so much on the line, a home playoff series, extending the longest win streak in the ABL in nearly a decade. Fastball is high for ball 2. And trying to get their first win of the season at home against the Anchorage Bucs. When you take all that into consideration, it's easily one of the biggest games of the year. 2-1 pitch. And that one is in the inside part of the plate. Count goes to 2-2.
You mentioned it before. A win for the Bucs today would not outright clinch the number 1 seed, but it would put them in the driver's seat, needing only 1 win.
Cochran just fouled that, keeping the count at 2-2. But like you were just talking about, it's all about the driver's seat right now for the Bucs. And while a win doesn't clinch it, it certainly puts them on the path to doing so.
In case you needed any more assurance, 6-2 is now the score in the Oilers and Pilots game, and they have the bases loaded with 1 out in the 8th. So that could be a run rule finish down at Coral Seymour. The Miners are going to have to clinch for themselves.
2-2 pitch from Enyart, and that's ball 3. Put it in a little bit low. And Ryan Cochran will certainly take that.
His second full count today. He had a long at-bat that ended up in a strikeout back in the 6th.
He's going to draw a walk. That is high and outside for ball 4. Full count leadoff walk for Ryan Cochran. He makes his way to first, and the leading run for the Miners is at first base.
Chad Granea did not allow a single walk during his 6 1/3 innings of action, but Adam Enyart has wasted no time allowing walk number 6 in the game because, of course, Cole Carlone allowed 5 in his third of an inning to start this game. The reason the Miners are in this matchup to begin with. Blake Baltz trying to do what he does best and extend the rally.
He's been the energizer all year long for Matsu, and especially as of late. His enthusiasm gets everybody going. Shows bunt. That ball is going to go behind the backstop. On to second now is Ryan Cochran, as Briggs could not locate that thing. It's a wild pitch, and now the Miners with a runner in scoring position.
Thought that might have been a hit by pitch at first, the way it caromed off of Baltz, but I think it caromed off of the glove of Brody Briggs to bring the count to 1-0. Mound conference underway, and lots of activity in the Bucs bullpen. Adam Enyart has been stellar this season, but Anchorage needs to have a backup plan in case things go south, and they seem to be trending that way currently.
Bill Springman's making his way out to the mound. Will we see a pitching change early on? I'd have to imagine not.
It has not been indicative of that. Springman came out earlier in the game to talk to Granea without pulling him.
And there is going to be a pinch hitter coming up for Matsu. Christian Perez, or Poppy as he's known by the team, is currently on deck. He will follow up Blake Baltz, so that'll be our first pinch hitter of the game.
He will replace Nick Bisaccia, who's currently 0 for 3. Perez himself has not had the easiest go of things lately, but has a penchant for big hits in big moments. Also has drawn a few big walks at pivotal moments of games. So the Miners would love him to do that.
If he could do that once again, it would be one of the highlight moments of the year for the Miners. The Bucs infield anticipating whatever Blake Baltz tries to show. 1-0 pitch, Ryan Cochran in scoring position. Bunt shown and fouled by Blake Baltz. Just put that one to the left of the third base line.
Baltz also 0 for 3, a ground out, a strikeout, and another ground out. But he sometimes makes you wait before he delivers that big moment in the game. The sun is now fully out.
Entered the game with 7 RBIs and 11 hits. And now that sun is really starting to make an appearance. Could be tough on these outfielders. Here's a throw back to second. Sliding and making it in time is Cochran to avoid a caught stealing situation.
So you saw, we call Blake Baltz the Energizer a lot during this season. Let's see if he runs on solar power.
Maybe so. Maybe it's the sun that's the secret ingredient. Baltz, a guy who's known for big hits. He had an RBI triple in the last game against the Anchorage Glacier Pilots at Mulcahy. Showing bunt. That ball went right over his bat, and it ends up working out as the count goes to 3-1.
And he preserves another chance to bunt. If that had been a strike, he would lose that ability, or at least it would make it much more dangerous.
That it would. He's had a tough time trying to bunt off of these Enyart pitches, but now the opportunity is certainly in front of him. A well-placed bunt here could easily put Cochran on to third, which is what Baltz is trying to do. Put Matsu in position to retake the lead going into the top of the ninth, and then you just need 3 outs to win the game. 3-1, another bunt shown, this time laid down by Baltz. It's bobbled by the pitcher Enyart. He's going to throw on to first. He did get it there in time, but the bunt did its job and advanced Cochran on to third. That was almost even more disastrous for the Bucs, but most importantly, Matsu now has the winning run, or rather the leading run at third.
Yeah, Enyart recovered from that. It went off his glove, but he picked it up and was just barely able to throw out Baltz. But like you said, the sacrifice bunt does its job. The first time the Miners have done that in this game, Drake Kerr, of course, tried to do it. It ended up getting to first on a bizarre sequence back in the 7th. Now it'll be Christian Perez, along with Chase Wilcox in the on-deck spot. We know how important he has been to the minors coming through in late moments, and it will not be Adam Enyart to pitch to him.
Yep, he's going to give up the ball. We'll see a new pitcher on the mound for the Bucs, so Enyart's day only lasts a third of an inning. And we'll see another pitcher come on for the Bucs, the fourth in the game.
I believe that's number 34. That would be Jeremiah Arnett, if I'm not mistaken.
That is Jeremiah Arnett making his way to the mound, and now on the mound for the Bucs. So this is an interesting switcheroo, but one that Bill Springman obviously feels is in the best interest of the Bucs at this point. Matsu is hoping that they can find something against Arnett, but historically he's been a tough pitcher to deal with for the Miners.
Yeah, Arnett, definitely the move here. He has been, by most metrics, one of the best relievers in the entire ABL. 27 innings pitched this season, all of them out of the bullpen, and a 2.67 ERA, has allowed just 8 runs on 28 hits this season. Also has recorded a save. This is not a save opportunity for him, of course, but looking to get the hold and not allow Ryan Cochran to get 90 feet to get the Miners their lead back. Also, a little addendum as I was trying to scroll through tabs to look for those stats. 10-2 now the score down in Kenai, so Matsu knows the stakes that you need a win.
That they do. Arnett also with a 5-0 record, which leads the Alaska Baseball League right now, so he has certainly been consistent from the mound. One of the better bullpen arms, and with Christian Perez at the plate, a guy who hasn't yet had an at-bat in this game, is kind of an unknown quantity, at least for this contest, and Bill Springman feeling that it's in his and the team's best interest to go to Arnett. Now the question is, can Poppy, as the team calls him, deliver a signature shot to give Matsu the advantage?
Coming into today, he's 209 on the year, 14 runs batted in, does have a home run as well as a pair of doubles, 23 hits in total and 110 tries, and a 307 on-base percentage. He's had a bit of a slump lately, but any hit could be the one to break him out of that. And last time we saw the Miners use a pinch hitter, Riker Scow hit a 2-run homer. So looking to extend that streak here.
Future Sacramento State Hornet out of Phoenix, Arizona, a sophomore. Coming off a year with Grand Canyon, played for New Mexico State the previous year. And now with the Matsu Miners, trying to give his team the lead and give them a potential 11th consecutive win here in ABL play. One of the best winning streaks that we've seen in years and years. This Matsu Miners team, when they first started this win streak, they were 12-13 overall. They were 3rd in the Alaska Baseball League, trying to make up some ground, and they even had heat from the Anchorage Glacier Pilots for a brief moment there. But since that time, they have turned it into the 5th gear, and they have found a way to become one of the elites in the Alaska Baseball League and challenge the best that the league has to offer. And now they're looking to keep that spirit alive here at home.
Dylan, I think despite what the standings say, they are the best the Alaska Baseball League has to offer. And the way they've been playing lately, I expect that to translate past the regular season and beyond.
Pitch on the way from Arnett. Perez lets the fastball go by. It's outside for ball 1. Matsu can prove they're the best that the ABL has to offer with a win today. It'd be their 4th straight against the Bucs and their 1st at home against Anchorage. But you got to get it done. Swing and a miss by Perez. Count goes to 1-1. Christian Perez, like Charlie mentioned, with a 209 average, 23 hits, 14 RBIs, and he does have one incredible home run this season. That is well inside at the knees of Perez, and the count goes to 2-1.
This is a new situation during this streak for the Miners. Usually it's the other way around, where they fall behind early and come back to win the game. This time they're going to have to do the opposite and hang on by the skin of their teeth after opening up a lead early in the game.
The 2-1, and again well inside for ball 3. Perez on the verge of drawing a 5-pitch walk.
And that would be the second issued already by Adam Enyart. Or excuse me, Jeremiah Arnett.
Yeah, the first from Arnett.
Yep.
3-1 pitch, 1 out. Sun beaming down, and that's ball 4. It was the exact same pitch once again, and Christian Perez claps his hands as he makes his way over to first base. Runners on the corners for Matsu.
So 2 bunts in this, or 2 walks in this inning, 1 each allowed by Enyart and Arnett, with a sacrifice bunt bookending them. And now, Chase Wilcox, 2 hits already for him today, a pair of singles, a walk, has scored 2 runs. also hit a fly out.
And they're going to intentionally walk Chase Wilcox.
That makes sense.
We've seen this before, and he is indeed going to make his way on to first. So Wilcox gets walked.
I understand that they do not want any part of him, but unfortunately for the Bucs, the man on deck now, Drake Kerr, also had a single back in the 7th, has also walked and scored a run, and hit a pair of flyouts. And if any of those events come to pass, the Miners will take the lead.
Yeah, this is a bit of a dangerous game to play. If you are the Bucs, you've got the bases loaded and 1 out. Obviously, their main objective is just try to limit any run from scoring, but if and when Matsu puts a run on the scoreboard and you get one big shot here, you can easily add on a couple or maybe 3 runs if the situation presents itself. Here's a high fly ball, deep to left field. Callahan back towards the wall. This ball lands at the base of the wall. 1 run's going to score, 2 runs are going to score. Wilcox on to third, and Matsu takes a 7-5 lead. Drake Kerr, the Raker, strikes again with a 2-run RBI double.
And that's why you don't intentionally walk Chase Wilcox, ladies and gentlemen. Every time we've seen an intentional walk this season, it has come back to blow up in the face of the team that did it. It happened with Chugiak earlier this week when they intentionally walked Christian Perez to bring Brandon Duran to the plate. He hit a home run, and now Drake Kerr makes them pay for their hubris by surging the Miners back in front, 7-5 here in Palmer, back in the driver's seat.
Wow, Drake Kerr with an incredible shot into left field. That's one of the deepest hit balls we've seen all year long. He's told me in the past he's not a home run guy. That may not have been a home run, but it sure felt like it. Kyle McCausland to the plate now. This pitch goes outside for ball 1.
I thought he had one for a second there.
It traveled a long distance. Drake Kerr, colder than the Harding ice field on that one.
And I think he thought he had one too because he had his hands up as he was running down to first.
McCausland will send a bloop shot towards right. Knowles chasing after it, and he does make the catch. And Wilcox and Kerr will stay at second and third, out 2.
McCausland makes his first out of the game. He had been, or rather his second. He had a fly out in the 5th, but still records the second out of that inning. And now Brandon Durand, who has 2 hits already today, including a double of his own, can try and keep the pain coming. He has a runner 90 feet away, another one at second. The Miners by no means have to be done.
And they're intentionally walked Brandon Duran. This is the second intentional walk now in the bottom of the 8th.
I guess I understand that with 1 out. I'm not sure why you would do that with 2 outs because you're going to have a force out at first anyway.
Well, I guess they feel as though Dom Patrizzi, less threatening.
Patrizzi is 0 for 4. That would be why.
Less threatening in their perspective, but I think Dom would love to prove them wrong in this instance. Don't forget, folks, he's the ABL leader in RBIs. With 2 outs here, lets this go by. That is a strike. A looking strike. Count goes to 0-1.
Dom, a pair of strikeouts, a pop out, and a line out today. Has gotten a little bit unlucky, had that weird bunt out, and then a rocket right at the shortstop, Will Burns, his last time up.
The 0-1. Wilcox fouls this one back. Count goes to 0-2. The Miners are now 3 outs away from clinching win number 11. This is all about adding insurance and strengthening the 2-run lead. Patrizzi facing an 0-2, trying to break out of his slump that he's endured today. That's high for ball 1.
Riker Scow on deck with a double and a walk today. Should the inning get to him?
And if it did, it'd be almost insult to injury for the Bucs. Wilcox at third, Kerr at second, Durand at first. The 1-2 on the way to Dom. And that fastball's outside. Ball 2.
Good take there by Patrizzi. Playing with his at-bat life there. But it will continue for at least one more pitch.
Yeah, it was very, very close, but Patrizzi decided to let it go by. That was the right call. He's been in these situations hundreds, if not thousands of times in his career. Time called for a brief moment.
The chat is very excited about what has transpired here. Can't say I blame you all. Thanks so much to all 74 of you.
This is another foul ball by Patrizzi. And love to see the enthusiasm in the chat. Don't worry, folks. We are just as excited as you are. There is nothing like Matsu Miners baseball, and Right now, we're seeing it at its absolute best. The 2-2 on the way for Dom Patrizzi. Arnett the pitch. And that's ball 3. Another good take by Dom.
Gutsy there. Twice he's done that in this at-bat to make Jeremiah Arnett pay. Arnett already with a walk, and then, of course, the 2 intentional walks. Not that those count.
So now the full count, 3-2 for Dom Patrizzi, trying to virtually put this game away with one big shot. Arnett, that kind of looked like a balk.
That was a balk, and the umpires missed that. The crowd immediately noticed. We noticed.
We did, but they did not call that.
He was winding up to throw home.
So no balk called. Payoff pitch. This is a fly ball out to center. Hunsaker back. Hangs in the air for a while, and Hunsaker makes the catch for out 3. And that does it for the bottom half of the 8th. But Matsu puts 2 runs on the board, courtesy of Drake Kerr. A 2-run double into left field. And Matsu is 3 outs away from win number 11 in a row. Bring it home, boys. We'll be right back to Palmer here on YouTube. Welcome back to Palmer, Alaska. A jubilant Hermon Brothers Field after a 2-run double by Drake Kerr in the bottom half of the 8th has put your Matsu Miners on top 7-5. They are 3 outs away from ultimate victory, and Drew Kennan takes the bump once again.
The Miners have 2 players on this team with the initials DK. One of them has already come through this game, and now the other will try to close it out. Drake Kerr, the chess master out of Dartmouth, the closer for the Miners, and he's been excellent, looking for save number 8 on the season. In 14 innings pitched, he's allowed just 4 hits, 4 walks, 0 earned runs. In his 14th appearance of the season, he's going to bring it home for win in row number 11 and try to clinch a home playoff series for the fans who are now in hysterics in the best possible way here at Hermon Brothers Field.
You mentioned it, 14 appearances. That leads the Alaska Baseball League. Andrew Lamb to the plate. And now the Miners trying to close down this affair. And the first pitch by Kennan is perfect. Count goes to 0-1.
Just a reminder to stick around for post-game interviews after this game. If Kennan is able to close this out, it'll be a jubilant scene.
Yep, we'll have a couple of folks up here as the count goes to 1-1. You'll hear from a player and a coach most likely.
Imagine it'll be Coach LeBrun as well as Drake Kerr if I had to choose them, but it'll be whoever shows up, and whoever it'll be, they'll be happy.
We'll be happy to see him. The 1-1 from Kennan. Breaking ball is just inside for ball 2.
That, of course, if Kennan is able to hold on. He is 7 for 7 in save opportunities so far this season. And, of course, has not allowed an earned run or a run of any kind.
2-1 pitch, and that's fouled off by Lamb. And the count will be 2-2 for the Dartmouth player. Matsu Miners, in their 10-game winning streak, they've only had 3 of those games at home. This is a chance to be their 4th in the last 11. And they have loved making it fun in front of this home crowd. This is going to be just past the glove of Kennan. Here's a throw on to first, and it's going to be off the bag for Christian Perez. So Andrew Lamb able to leg out what will, for the moment, be a single.
Yeah, I thought for a split second that Kennan might have the reflexes to stick his glove up there, but it was just a little bit late. Lamb with a leadoff single, and that brings us to a couple defensive changes we didn't mention. Chase Wilcox over at third, and Christian Perez replacing him at first. He was the pinch hitter last inning. Nick Bisaccia, the odd man out there.
Cole Carlone now makes his way to the mound. Remember, he has shattered Miners' hearts before. He had a home run in a doubleheader a few weeks ago against Matsu. His Baltz bobbles that one for just a second. Count goes to 1-0.
He is the tying run, of course, and on deck is Ryan Callahan, who has a home run already today. So Kennan needs this out. You do not want to get the go-ahead run at the plate, especially if he's already hit a home run.
Yeah, two guys who have home runs against the Miners this year. Fastball's in. Count goes to 1-1.
Carlone struck out looking against Harrahill his last time, or excuse me, that was Hattenbach his last time up, which caused him to slam the home plate dirt in frustration.
Time called by the home plate umpire, as he will give Carlone a second to get his bearings about him. Drew Kennan hoping for a big strikeout here or an out of any kind. Taking his time, firing in a 1-1 pitch. It bounces off the glove of Baltz, and now on to second. Baltz still looking for the baseball. Able to finally get it, but Lamb makes his way into scoring position on what's going to be a pass ball.
Yeah, that looked like a wild pitch to me, but in any event, Baltz had no idea where that was. That went off his glove and was rolled to the right. He thought it went to the left. So in the time he spent looking for it, Andrew Lamb had a brief look at going all the way to third, but that would have been a bad decision for the right fielder. He stays in scoring position, and now the battery will talk things over here.
Yeah, but he's going to talk to his pitcher, Drew Kennan. So far, it's been a little bit tough against the Bucs here in this top half of the ninth inning. Anchorage is trying to avoid their fourth consecutive loss to the Miners in the end of their own six-game winning streak. All of that at stake. Before these two teams, the longest win streak of the season was 5, and both of them have since surpassed that mark, but the Matsu Miners have done that in dramatic fashion.
And as I said at the top of this broadcast, the last time the Bucs lost to a team that isn't the Miners, July 9th.
That is fouled off by Carlone.
For reference, it is now July 28th. So in that span, they have lost 3 times to Matsu and 3 outs away from a 4th.
Pretty much affirming that in terms of quality, these are probably the best 2 teams in the league right now. And time's called again by the home plate umpire.
Didn't know you were allowed to call time twice in a plate appearance, but apparently Cole Carlone did so, or maybe the umpire is going out to talk with Kennan of his own accord.
Yep, he's going to talk to Drew Kennan.
So just giving Carlone another free timeout, essentially. Not sure what the discussion was there.
So when Carlone comes to the plate, the count's going to be 2-2. You've got Andrew Lamb at second. He represents run number 6 for the Bucs and would bring this game to a 1-run affair. Carlone is the tying run at home plate. And the Miners just trying to get any out they can get here. The 2-2 as Kennan takes a moment.
Gamesmanship afoot here.
Yep, a little bit of a chess match, so to speak, between these two right now. And
exactly, playing the long game.
Drew Kennan, not one to be beat in a chess match usually. 2-2 pitch, and that's low for ball 3. So we will now have a payoff pitch for Cole Carlone, who is trying to reach base.
It's impossible to overstate how much you do not want to let Cole Carlone on the base paths.
You absolutely do not want that to occur, like you've mentioned. That would really tax Drew Kennan and the rest of this Miners defense, especially with no outs. And that's high for ball 4. Cole Carlone on to first base with a full count walk. Lamb at second, and the Bucs now with 2 runners aboard, and most importantly, no outs.
And the go-ahead run, Ryan Callahan, who hit a home run back in the 3rd.
And
it's also singled and walked.
Yep, Steve Hecker's calling time real quick to go out to the mound and talk to Drew Kennan.
Kennan in real danger of allowing his first earned run of the season here. And since he's the closer, there is never really a good time for him to allow an earned run, but this especially would be a very inopportune juncture.
This is unprecedented territory for Steve Hecker and Drew Kennan. They really haven't had this problem this season. It's usually been fairly easy and fairly routine in the top of the 9th, but the Bucs are refusing to stay down, and you've got Ryan Callahan coming to the plate, who already has a 2-run home run in this game. And with that sort of danger looming, I'm sure that Steve Hecker wants a moment to get his pitcher ready to go in this situation.
He did allow Kennan a triple at one point this season. I vaguely remember that. I think that was at this ballpark. But whatever situation that was, it ended up being all right because Kennan has not blown a save yet this season. He does have a loss, which is funny. He pitched down in Kenai in that sudden death tie loss the Miners had. So he has 7 saves, has not allowed an earned run this season, but still is 0 for 1, or 0-1.
As Callahan comes to the plate, and Drew Kennan, the ABL leader in saves, he is trying to end this game once again on his own accord. Bunt is shown. Callahan may resort to that game, which means that Kennan and the rest of this Matsu defense have to be aware of that and execute accordingly.
Yep, you can get the force out at third if the bunt isn't optimal.
1-0 pitch. And this will be a bunt. Baltz wants it. He is going to throw on to first. Got it. And that will be out number 1, but the bunt does advance. Lamb on to third and Carlone on to second.
He could have had a go at getting the out at third there, but he would have had to turn around and throw across his body, which was just inviting him to throw it over the head of the third baseman and allow a run. So he took the out where he could get it. I don't blame him for that, but Tommy Eisenstadt had a single back in the 8th. He was part of that 3-run explosion off of Hattenbach and Harrahill. Also a single in the 3rd, a sac fly, and a pop-out.
So now the tying run is at second base for the Bucs. Drew Kennan with a fastball, and that's a strike. Count goes to 0-1.
And the runner at third, Lamb, looked like he was going to make a break for home there for a second.
I'm not sure if that would be the wisest strategy. Maybe just trying to fool some people, and that's strike 2. No fooling anyone on that. A looking strike and an 0-2 count. Drew Kennan wants the strikeout. Trying to get out number 2. It would make life so much easier for the Miners if they could get it. Kennan. Fastball is outside. Ball 1.
Brody Briggs on deck, who has drawn a pair of walks but has not managed to hit against any of the Miners' pitchers.
The 1-2, and that is a foul ball, and that's one that Eisenstadt probably should not have swung at.
Yeah, the Miners also got very lucky there that he made contact with that at all because that ball was going to the backstop. That was very inside. Baltz was not ready, and Eisenstadt probably saved at least 1 run by swinging at that ball.
Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good. The 1-2 from Kennan. And that's high. Boy, Baltz did a great job of keeping that baseball in his glove and making sure it didn't go to the backstop.
He definitely saved a run with that stop. Kennan uncharacteristically wild here in this top of the 9th. Not something we've seen from him really at all this season.
Let's see if he can lock it down. Important thing is it's a 2-2. Fastball. This is going to be a liner right into the glove. The run over to second, and that's going to do it. Game-winning double play for the Miners. Ryan Cochran ends it. And Matsu takes a 7-5 win at home over the Anchorage Bucs. They have won 4 straight against Anchorage and now 11 wins in a row here for the Miners. What a historic pace, what a historic team, and what a win today.
We talked about it earlier in the game. It was the defense that was holding the Bucs without runs when they weren't getting them. In the 8th inning, there was an error. They scored a few runs, but other than that, the Miners' defense came through when it mattered the most, and Drew Kennan gets into trouble for the first time this season. Good thing he has one of the best defenses, especially on the infield, in the entire ABL this season, right behind him. Ryan Cochran catching that line out, catching Cole Carlone completely unawares. He was, by the time he realized what was going on, it was far too late. He just had to trot on and get that force out. The double play gets the Miners win in a row number 11. They have clinched a playoff series here at Hermon Brothers Field, and more importantly, narrowed the margin at the top to just 1.5 games with 2 more to play against the Bucs.
What a win for the Miners, and what a dramatic way to have it go down. That's the one thing the Bucs were looking to avoid, and they could not. Ryan Cochran with an unassisted double play. Don't see that very often. And the Miners take the 7-5 lead, and like you mentioned, Charlie, they have clinched a home playoff series here in the 2024 Alaska Baseball League season. And also importantly, they have tied the series with the Anchorage Bucs. If they can win the next 2 against the Bucs, they'll have the number 1 seed to themselves. What a win for the Miners today, but don't go anywhere, folks. We'll have post-game interviews when we come back to Hermon Brothers. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. Oh, isn't it great to be a Matsu Miner today? 11 consecutive wins for your Miners, and I am joined by head coach Ty LeBrun for our post-game show. What a win and what resilience by your team late.
Holy moly, man. I was about to swear right there, so I had to hold back. Man,
Appreciate that.
They fight, man. It's so great to see us do what we're doing right now, and I just love this group right here, and it's what they've done coming back from where we were about 2.5, 3 weeks ago when we just couldn't put stuff together to winning 11 straight now is just it's exciting, man. Our guys are coming up in big situations. We're picking up our pitching staff who picked us up early in the year.
Yes.
It's really good to see from our offense, and we played some pretty good defense tonight too, I thought. So it's great to walk away with a win right there, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
seven runs in this game, and of course the response in the bottom of the eighth. Drake Kerr with that two-run double. He blistered that thing to left
Right.
field. What'd you think of that?
I had a feeling they were going to walk Chase just because he's been so good this year.
Right.
But I had no problem with Drake behind him. I just looked at him and said, "Hey, be aggressive. You got to want to be the man here." And he went first pitch, and they were playing everyone shallow. And so we finally got a chance to burn someone, and we did, and it broke it open, gave us 2-run lead, and then Kennan had to make it a little interesting there in the ninth.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy for Drake. He's been swinging it really well lately, and it's good to see from him.
Yeah, you talked about the mental toughness of this team, and obviously there were some tough losses early on in the season, but the way they've responded has been so impressive. What do you think that says about their mental resiliency on the season?
They hate to lose, man, and they want it, and they're fighters, man. We tell them every day we got to keep throwing punches throughout the game. And again, when you can put up 7 runs against that pitching staff, I mean that's arguably the best staff in the league outside of maybe us.
Yes,
I'm sure the numbers are pretty close. And if you were to tell me we were seeing Carlone and we had Kendrick on the mound, I would have said 2-1 ball game. But we took advantage of some of their pitching mistakes and took care of business.
Well, obviously the mission continues after this. You've got a game in 2 days against this same Bucs team, and you guys kind of know, I guess, at this point what it's going to take to beat that team. And how do you guys prepare for that occasion?
Just keep doing what we're doing. We're not going to change anything we've been doing. We haven't done that for the last 2.5 weeks, and we just come out, roll the balls out, and go play baseball.
I love that. All right, Coach, congratulations,
Thanks, man.
We'll see you for the next one.
Thanks.
That's Ty LeBrun, the head coach of the Matsu Miners, and obviously in a good mood and for good reason. His team is probably the hottest team in the Alaska Baseball League right now. They continue to prove it time and time again. We're about to be joined by Mr. Drake Kerr, the hero of today's game, as he has been in many games this season. Just going to put on his headset here, and you got me, Drake?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Well, first of all, congratulations on a big win today for you and your team, and how about that 2-run double, man?
Yeah, this whole summer it's been be aggressive early and stay aggressive, and so first pitch I could handle, I went. So
that's the way about it. And you told me before that you weren't sure if you were going to get a home run this season, but I looked at that thing and I thought for a second it was about to leave the yard. You hit that one a pretty considerable distance, and I love the way that you responded, the enthusiasm after the fact. I noticed that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I just want to play this game super hard and be really enthusiastic, because one day we'll be like our dads and we can't play this game anymore. So I just want to give it all out there.
We got to have good stories to tell, right?
Yep.
All right, so against the Anchorage Bucs this season earlier on, you guys had lost the first 4 games against them, but you've won the last 4 and tied this series. What do you think has been the key to turning this series around for the Miners?
Just believing in our teammates. I think a lot of this game is performance, but the other side is just having your teammates back and knowing that wherever he's up to the plate or on the mound, you know that he's going to get the job done, and it comes confidence with that. And I think that we just grew a chemistry, and as the summer's gone on, we've learned to love each other a lot, and it's really just the chemistry and the teammates that we have on this team.
Well, Drake, you guys have now clinched a home playoff series here in the 2024 ABL postseason, and I want to ask you real quick, what does that mean to play in front of your home crowd, and especially you felt them today here at Hermon Brothers Field? What does that mean to you?
Man, that's awesome. I think we have the best crowd in the ABL, and I think our fans have our backs more than anybody.
Yes.
And so just to be out here and know that we got a lot of people behind our backs and yelling for us, I think that it's going to go a long way.
Looking forward to it. Well, Drake, congratulations, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is Drake Kerr for the Matsu Miners. He will have his headset taken off here, and we will just about get ready to hit the road. A big win for the Matsu Miners, 7-5 over the Anchorage Bucs. But before we head out today, I do have a quick announcement that I need to make to all of you at home. This is going to be my last game of the season. I have to head home for personal family deal, and I want to say real quickly that it's been an honor from start to finish to cover the Miners for all of you watching back home and see all the great plays, the great games, especially in this 12-game winning streak, or rather 11-game winning streak. I've lost track. There's so many wins. It's been a joy from start to finish, and the win today was certainly one of the more memorable moments. It's been great to hang out with Charlie, the entire Miner staff, and all of you watching at home. At the end of the day, we broadcast and we tell the story of the game so that all of you can enjoy it and understand it better, and I can only hope that I've done that for all of you watching on, and so thankful that I've gotten this opportunity to call in the last frontier. It's really been a dream come true, and I will never forget this moment, this team, and these Matsu Miners and all of you. So thank you all so much, and we'll hand it over to Charlie for the rest of the season. He'll be doing a great job, and I'll be watching on from home with all of you. We'll see if the Matsu Miners can bring home this 2024 ABL Championship. So thank you all so much. We will see you next time. For Charlie Fellows and our entire incredible staff at the Matsu Miners, I'm Dylan Simmons saying so long, and remember to always